welcome to Nerd TV for a full throttle sim racing Mach-1 Performance Cup Series race coming at you live from the very cloudy Kansas Speedway simulated. Here we're going to run 167 laps to tackle around the second to final race here in the 2023 A season for the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series, guys. Right now on the track, weather, of course I said it's cloudy, and it has brought the weather temperatures down, and the winds have kicked up around here a little bit. 88 degrees on the track only. That's after almost an hour long of practice, and 73 degrees in the skies. 8 mile an hour currently coming out of the south end of the track. So southwest, you're going to see some winds tailing around there. So that could provide some trouble for guys who have a semi-loose setup coming to this race, and the wind's going to, finalize their fate. We don't know, but we're going to find out here just momentarily. To my right-hand side, partner in crime here for Wednesday and Mondays, Mr. Jason Rockefeller. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. After an absolute stellar Barn Burner Cup Series race yesterday, I'm ready to see these Mach-1 Performance guys here in the FTSR take it up a notch with these next-gen cars here from the progressively banked mile-and-a-half Kansas Speedway. Absolutely love this track. You're going to see a lot of guys trying to run different lines all over the place, depending on what their driving style is, what their setup is. But regardless, usually every single race that's ever really been run at Kansas that I've called, it's usually always been a good one, whether it be just tire strategy, fuel mileage, close racing, whatever it may be. Kansas just always puts on a show. And these next gens are really something, especially with the car. You see Richie Coy. Look at him out there struggling right now. It's just, with these cars, with the rack and pinion steering and everything like that, and how loose they are just as a whole, whether you're on fixed or whether you're on an open setup, these things are so hard to control. And because of the multi-groove racing, with how much the tires wear out here, it really opens up the door for a lot of opportunities, a lot of multi-groove racing. But these guys are going to have a little bit of a benefactor here tonight because, obviously, you talked about very cloudy, cooler temperatures. It's not going to be nearly as hot as what it was yesterday at the real-life Kansas Speedway, where it was upwards of over 90 degrees, which made the track very hot, very slick, and had a lack of grip.
Yeah, 100%. If you watched that Cup Series race yesterday, there was a lot of passing. I think they broke a record for 1.5 mile tracks. So, we might see it here again tonight. We'll want to find out. These guys are some of the best out here in the sim world, and so we're going to see what it takes for them to tackle this track. And also to your right-hand side, I did not forget you this time, Mr. Dustin Loxton, our producer. I don't know if he has his camera up. There he is, coming out there straight with the semi-dab there. What's going on, man?
I tell you what, looking for a good race. The Martin Sports Truck Series guys put on a good show here, like you guys said. Cup Series race yesterday was it was a talker for sure. And I'm always a fan of these mile-and-a-half tracks. I know there for a while we had a lot of cookie cutter tracks, and that's why we started getting away from them. But every once in a while, you still have those gems, those good ones. Kansas is definitely becoming one of those. The progressive banking, the racing it produces. You see a whole new level of drivers come out here, and I just looking at the boards right now. We got Chandler and Torgerson up there from RPM Motorsports right now. I mean, they're continuing their ways, so they're definitely coming strong on the mile-and-a-half. But we also have James Wallace up there. Somebody we have not seen over the last number of weeks has kind of struggled a little bit. He's now up there. So this is why I love these mile-and-a-half tracks, because it's the entire mindset and the level of drivers that you see coming forward like that always changes.
Yeah, you mentioned James Wallace. Yeah, you're right. He's been struggling this past month or two. I know most of 2022, we saw him up front consistently. The late runs is his specialty, but to see him up there nice and early here on the practice board, we might have a different group of guys coming up front here to try to contend for some of these guys that are running these points lead. Speaking of the points lead right now, it's only really 2 cars. We got 2 races left in the opening season for 2023. It's coming down to teammates Richie Coy and Brody Hanna. Very familiar story for everyone who followed us last year in FTSR last year. These guys are always up front, and to no surprise, Richie Coy, Brody Hanna at 28 points back. But, I mean, Brody Hanna's got to watch himself at the same time. We got Wayne Grossi, 3rd place. He's only 8 points behind Brody Hanna, so Brody has a slip up. We might see a new 2nd place guy here in the points.
Yeah, and that very well could happen. I mean, if Richie Coy has a bad night here tonight, Brody Hanna and Wayne Grossi could both take advantage. Brody's only 28 points back, like we talked about. Wayne is only 8 points behind Brody. And then Troy Torgerson, kind of a long shot, 67 points back. I don't really think he's really a title threat, but you never know. I mean, I'm not very good at math when it comes to the points and the way they work with finishing order. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure Troy is still on it. He just has to basically win both stages and win both races and have the front three guys up in the points do really bad. But hey, there's a lot of guys who are up there in practice and whatnot that, were guys that you haven't really seen in the last few weeks, except Jeff Chandler. One last week at Dover, and he was just up on the top of the board there. So Jeff Chandler showing a lot of speed here these last 2 weeks. And he didn't just win Dover last week, he dominated Dover. But there's a lot of guys who I'm looking forward to seeing. You talked about James Wallace as well. Guys, somebody we haven't really seen lately up at the front. He's been very struggling and stuff like that. One of my first races over here over at Nerd TV, James Wallace was one of the guys to compete with the Moreau brothers, or one of the Moreaus at Phoenix, and ended up getting taken out late in the going on a late race restart. But here he is having a good practice run. Hopefully he's going to have something in the bank here tonight at Kansas.
And he is the winner here from the practice session, so we're going to ride on board with him as he goes through the low part of the trioval rather. That is not a yellow line. You can go down there all day, no harm, no foul. He's going to elect to do the top line here, which it's a driver's preference, top or bottom. But coming through 1 and 2, I think the top line might be preferred for these guys.
Likely. I mean, Jeff Chandler is really somebody, he actually just gets into the wall right there off the corner. So this is already going to be a throwaway lap for Jeff Chandler pretty much here. But I believe this is coming to the green right here, and you're already going to see him right there go all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, try to get as much speed. So he's already thrown away this first lap. He already wants to run the top right here, like you're starting to see. Troy Torgerson goes up to the top of the charts now, 30.38 here. So Jeff's going to really run the outside here, going to try to get to the wall as close as he can right here through 3 and 4. You don't want to get on that seam right to the left, and you really don't want to touch that seam right off, just a couple inches off the outside wall right there, because that's going to just really cause a lot of slipperiness, if that's a word in the dictionary. So, I mean, it's unfortunate there, but Jeff still right there has a third place run here in qualifying. So a solid run here for Jeff Chandler, but not the run he was probably hoping for.
Yeah, when he hit the wall, that was actually his first lap there, so had to throw it away. You got the ZRX, your lap is disqualified. He had to go try for the second lap, and still got a 0.4, which is pretty decent. Now, compared to the practice times, Chandler ran a 0.0 there, so he's 3.5 to 4 tenths off of his practice time. Right now, Troy Torgerson leading the way. He actually picked up a tenth from his practice, went from a 0.218 to a 0.135, so Torgerson's going to be doing pretty good here on the start. Chris Beck been showing some plenty of speed recently. He's sitting P2 right now on the board. Right now we're following along Nicholas Moreau. He did make it to the server. They haven't been really present this past few weeks, but here he is finishing up his second lap. And he's going to get second place, 2/100ths of a second off.
That's what I was getting excited about when all of a sudden I seen him enter. There were talks prior about him possibly making a return for tonight's race. No surprise that he's up near the front. Rocket Man Moreau normally does not disappoint. Very fast, very consistent driver. I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to a really good race. A lot of fast guys here. I think we're about ready to see a damn good show tonight, boys.
It was blowing up to be a pretty good one, and then you got the 15 in here. Coming back after a few weeks off, and now it's going to be more of a mix-up here for the top 5. I'm really excited. The multi-groove racing here, all the different potential guys that have a great amount of speed showing off in practice and qualifying. Jason, this is going to be one hell of a race tonight.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, there's a lot of guys who we talked about too. Either you need to have a good run, or they're just really showing up with speed. I mean, Troy Torgerson, he's been kind of there. Like, he hasn't been fast, but he hasn't been slow. He's kind of just there. And here he is right now, currently P1 on the board in qualifying. I don't think we're going to get any more takers. There were a few guys who did not qualify, including James Wallace in the 67. So I don't know if they're going to go out. I don't know if time ran out, but there's drivers I'm seeing. Nicholas Moreau coming back. He's going to be a fast driver. Chris Beck, he's been kind of very solid recently, and he's up there. Wayne Grossi, the third place guy in points, only 8 behind Brody Hanna, he could have a very good race here tonight. Chris Curtis, Jeff Chandler, after dominating Dover last week, led over 191 laps. He's here. Richie Coyer, points leader, is 7th. There's a lot of guys. I mean, just in general, Jeremy, this field is stacked. I really do think, genuinely, with the next gen, the way the aero package is here, and with these setups, I genuinely think this is going to be a very, very competitive race here tonight.
One thing I do want to make mention, though, is you guys were talking about people that did not qualify. Brody Hanna, we were on board with him momentarily, did hit the wall, never came back out to even put down a timed lap, so he will be starting towards the tail end of the field.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's very unfortunate. Excellent point there, Dustin. Brody Hanna's got to come back from 25th place to try to get up there with his teammate Richie Coy and keep that spot away from Wayne Grossi to get 2nd place. But these guys are on the grid. It is our time to get our cameras off the screen and to focus on these guys and get the grid underway. Troy Torgerson is going to start this thing in P1. Nicholas Moreau, P2. Chris Beck on the 44 is going to start in 3rd place. 4th place will be Wayne Grossi. 5th place, Chris Curtis. 6th, Jeff Chandler. 7th, Richie Coy. 8th, Stephen Lou Allen. 9th place, Timothy Stubblefield. And tonight's top 10 car, Ryan Chapman in the 27.
20, you got Lane Allen in the 14 machine, starting 11th. Starting 12th, TJ Bartell. 13th goes to Louis Meglin there in the 43 machine at 13th. Sherwood Williford always supporting the Good Wrench Taz colors there for Looney Tunes at 14th. Robert Milikian in the number 22 machine starts in 15th. Ryan Dublay, 16th. Ryan Hedrick, 17th. Chad Lang in the number 4 machine starts 18th. Josh Johnson, 19th. And Fury Motorsports' Tony Solari rounds out the top 20.
91 of Justin Dilt starts in 21st. James Wallace, 22nd. Colton Gum, 23rd. 24th place, you'll find Michael Blackner. 25th, Brody Hanna. 26th, the number 2 of Alan Duranco in tonight's last place car. In 27th, that 41 machine right there of Alan Crowell. And these guys are rolling. They're going to do one solid pace lap here. Pace car will dip. And then 167 laps to decide this Kansas 250. And stage break is going to be on lap 50. So I think these guys might be able to stretch their fuel to lap 50. They'll come down, get their cars fixed up to where they need to for the additional 110 plus laps, and then they're going to go green the rest of the way.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very interesting race, to say the least. We talked about this cloud cover, Jeremy. That's going to be a big factor, because look at these virtual clouds up in the sky. There is no opening for really any sunshine and whatnot. So these guys are going to be in complete cloud cover, which is going to make this track have a lot of grip, way more than what the real-life Cup drivers were dealing with yesterday. We talked about temperatures over 90 degrees, no clouds in the sky like MRN was describing, and today we have the exact opposite. So a lot more grip on this racetrack here today, which is going to provide a lot more multi-groove racing. But nonetheless, this is going to be anybody's race here tonight.
As we're going to see the 39 of Troy Torgerson lead it off here for RPM Motorsports. Excellent start by this group as the green flag is out. He gets a whole car length over the 15 before they even get to the line. And it looks like he's almost going to try to clear him. And Nicholas Moreau trying to wipe off the rust and already hits the wall coming into turn number 1. We talked about that, or at least you did in the truck race on Wednesday. It's so hard to see. Oh, and he hits the wall again here. So trouble's early on for the 15.
Yeah, honestly, I think Troy Torgerson might have put the 15 in the wall right there, trying to get up to the racetrack, trying to get to the top there, heading into 1. But the 15 right there just got pinched, and unfortunately bounced off the wall coming off 2. He's going to drop all the way back to the 4th place spot. Here comes Wayne Grossi, already up 2 spots from where he started. He's battling side by side with Chris Beck as they go into 1 as Moreau tries to look to rebound to get back up into the 2nd spot.
Looks like the 38 already bounced the wall to exiting turn number 4 mid-pack here. But right now, yeah, Wayne Grossi trying to maximize his points here. Maybe he has an effort to get around Brody Hanna. Let's see if he can do so here. One of his favorites around this 1.5-mile track. And right now, side by side for 2nd place, Wayne Grossi, the inside lane, does not have the preferred exit there, with the top sign being having a little bit more banking in the corner. Allows you to get a great launch, and the 44 uses that momentum to slingshot around the 39 of Troy Torgerson, potentially first lead change of the night.
first lead change of the night. Chris Beck goes up to the lead, but look at that draft weight that the 39 has down the back straightaway just from running that top side. He's going to be able to have just enough momentum to close up to the 44. But Beck did have a better entry into 3 than Torgerson, who's now under fire from Moreau there on the bottom, who's going to get back to the second place spot. Maybe a little bit of heat going on between Moreau. He almost pinched Troy Torgerson up into the wall entering one. Maybe flashback to that lap 1 incident where Troy Torgerson kind of pinched Moreau in the wall there. And here comes Jeff Chandler as well, outside already +2 from where he started last week's Dover winner. These guys are all over the place here on this multi-groove Kansas Speedway.
98 Chris Curtis, that time going to turn number 1, slapped the outside wall harder than the 15 did. So multiple guys now have hit that wall already coming into turn number 1. Right now, after 1 lap through, the 98 does not look like he has any further damage. His car is still maintaining normal pace here, as they're still side by side for 3rd and 4th and also 5th and 6th.
Yeah, and I mean, these guys are going to be running every single line everywhere to be, and there's already guys who are gaining and losing positions constantly. Timothy Stubblefield -4 from where he started. Brody Hanna, we talked about him, like Dustin had said, started in the back because he hit the wall on his qualifying lap, wasn't happy with it, started in the back. He's already up +8, almost +9 here as he works on the bottom of the 43 machine. That was already +8 positions gained. So already coming from the back, Brody Hanna is starting to look very stout here early on tonight at Kansas as he moves up into the 17th place spot.
Jumping over to the chats on YouTube, let's go Troy and Jeff, or Toy rather. That's from Doyle Lawrence. Get it done, and he thinks the 44 Chris Beck is going to burn those tires up running so fast so early. Well, about to find out here. It is a very easy track to have all that speed and all of a sudden lose your tire grip, and you might potentially fall back. But, you know, these guys have open setup, so we'll have to see. He could just have a really bad fast car, or, like you said, he might be burning them up. But, you know, we're only 7 laps in. We're going to find out. It's a 50-lap stint before we get to the end of stage 1. So if you're going to burn your tires up, do it now. Figure out exactly what pace you need to run, because that second stage is a much longer run.
You're not going to see any tire wear here on these next-gen race cars until about lap 15 to 16, somewhere around the lap 20 mark at most. But one thing to know, too, Nicholas Moreau already started to gain a little bit on Chris Beck, even though Beck was faster that last time around by just 0.08. Notice the 44 is searching for grip all around this racetrack, trying to see where he can kind of get the upper advantage here over Moreau. But we've seen here in the past, though, Jeremy, Nicholas Moreau is very good on the short to medium length runs, but when he gets to the end of those late runs, he is known for kind of just overusing the tires. As good of a driver as he is here in this sim, I think he really just needs to work a little bit more on his long run pace. But regardless, between that and his short run and medium pace, you know, speed, it doesn't really compare, because he's always very, very fast, always a threat here tonight. And as we have a battle here for changing of the 3rd place spot, Jeff Chandler moves in front of Wayne Grassi. That 31 machine has been on fire here these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, Jeff Chandler from RPM Motorsports getting it done early tonight, it looks like, as well as last week, of course, just completely dominated Dover. But really, this top 10 is really single-filed out here. Really spaced out. It was really competitive in the Cup race yesterday in real life. So I figured maybe tonight would be something similar, but these guys are being a little more tame. And as I say that, around 10th place, they're now double file here for positions.
Your points leaders, we right on board the DeWalt number 19 Ford Fusion, or Ford Mustang. Gosh, I'm going back. Ford Mustang here for Richie Coy, your points leader from Fury Motorsports. He hasn't gained any positions, hasn't lost any since the start of this race, as we're about to come to lap 12 here. He has been having a very difficult time trying to get around the number 98 of Chris Curtis. But I will say, I believe Richie is really only using the bottom because it's kind of the only lane that's open for him to have an opportunity to pass the 98. As you see him side by side right here at the line with Curtis and that number 98 Blackwater Chevrolet Camaro. But the thing about running the bottom is if you run that bottom, you're going to give up speed. But the positive thing about it is if you run that shorter distance around the racetrack, kind of coast, let the car kind of drift back up slightly off the corners, you're not using as much tires. So on the long runs, once it gets towards the end of the stage, if we don't have any cautions, Richie Coy is going to be in a very good spot, because we've seen it time and time again. Coy is very good at saving those tires on the long runs.
Yeah, one of the best here at FTSR for sure. He's very patient too. He's not going to press the 98 into a bad spot here. He's just going to let him do his thing and take over here. Right now we're looking at the 47 of Ryan Hedrick and the 27 of Ryan Chapman here as they go through turns 3 and 4 now. Currently running in 8th and 9th place consecutively in the 4 of Chad Lang here, and some new colors in that Oreo Chevrolet Camaro. Going to be alongside now the number 27 of Ryan Chapman here as they head off into turn 1.
Yeah, our producer Dustin says that's sexy, and I will agree. That is a very, very sexy looking scheme. The only problem I have with it is, even though I get the hint of the white rims, I still think that car would look better black, and I think it needs a little bit more white or white on it, and a little bit more light, like, you know, tealish blue, like the Oreo cars are. That's the thing about those Oreo schemes, man. Ever since from Dale Earnhardt to Dale Jr. to Tony Stewart, no matter what you do with an Oreo Ritz car, those paint schemes are never, ever a miss. Even here on the sim, with the amount of talent that gets put on to trading paints, where you can upload all your paint schemes for everybody around the world to drive. I mean, Oreo schemes are just never a miss. They always look good, and it's really nice to see Chad Lang and that number 4 doing very good here inside the top 10 with that beautiful number 4 Oreo Chevrolet.
100%. I want to make a mention here, the 44 of Chris Beck. I think Doyle in the chat's nailed it on the head. He has burnt the tires up on lap 16. He has dropped back to 5th place, and now Richie Coy going to the bottom of the 44 Chris Beck, because Chris Beck gets really loose there through turn 1, had to save it, did not hit the wall, and he gets loose again off of turn 2. Saves it once again, but he's going to drop back behind the 98 of Chris Curtis, the 47 now of Ryan Chapman, or Ryan Hedrick rather, now on the top side of the track trying to get around him, which he should be able to clear him off of turn 4. At 44, early troubles for that machine.
Doyle Lawrence really did hit the nail right on the head, and I was going to agree with him earlier when he did say that in our chat on YouTube, because if you see that 44 is dropping like a rock, -5, he's about to get swallowed up here by Chad Lang and that number Oreo. Wow, that would have been a mouthful to say. That number 4 Oreo Chevrolet Camaro here, but the 44 right now is running slower lap times than most of the field. You have to go all the way back, and I'm low. There goes the 44 around in front of the 24's bumper. He saves it, man. Wow, Chris Beck doing a nice job, but that's 2 times. When is the next? Will the next time finally give out? 3 times. It's like 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game, as they say. But man, Chris Beck, 32.10. He is already into the 32 bracket here. There is nobody right now on the racetrack slower than Chris Beck right now. So if I were him, he definitely either has to take a major swing of adjustments here and throw the entire kitchen sink at that car when he comes into the pit road, or he just needs to save the tires a lot more, because that car went from P1 all the way to P12 right now, and it's probably going to drop back even further here, Jeremy.
The benefit for him is he has a guaranteed Roasted Gems caution coming up in 31 laps. So as long as he can just maintain on the lead lap, he can figure out what he needs to do. I'm sure his rear tires are screaming at him, so if he could just take a couple laps to drive it a little extra easier, bring down those temps just a little bit, he could probably sacrifice the rest of this run. Just don't put the thing into the wall like that. It's a little too early for that. As you saw actually right behind him, Robert Malikian in the 22, he tail slapped the wall exiting turn 4. That's about 4 or 5 cars so far I've already seen trade paint with a white wall.
Yeah. Oh, we actually have one car, I think, sideways up here. I believe they saved it right there. Saw some puff of smoke there heading into 1 and 2. Don't know who that was, though. It could have been the 24, because he is very slow on the racetrack right now. Not too sure if maybe he got into somebody. Maybe he got loose on entry, hit the apron. But, yeah, to point out what you said, yeah, Malikian right there. In that number 22 machine, it looked like he got pinched by the 44 right there off 4, and unfortunately just, lost it almost. But good save there by the 24 to not lose it off the corner. But Jeremy, one thing to know, we are already almost a second of lap time difference from when these guys posted their best laps all the way to what they just ran the last lap. So tire wear starting to play a factor. But Nicholas Moreau, we talked about it too, Jeremy. That short to medium run, he's very, very good. But can he hold all the way until the stage break here? He's got a 1.5 seconds almost on Jeff Chandler right now for the lead.
Yeah, Nicholas Moreau has one of the better consistent lap paces around this track. His fastest lap was on lap 5 at a 30.6. Last lap by was a 31.4, so 0.8 of a second drop. But yeah, some of these guys have already lost over a second of their pace, like as you just said. So at this point in the race, early on, you are seeing exactly who is going to be your guys for the long run, who are the guys going to be there for the short run. You can definitely tell at this point. So, you can see it on the field. It's really spaced out. Nicholas Moreau has a 1.5-second lead, and then Troy Torgerson is right behind his teammate Jeff Chandler. Of course, RPM Motorsports running 2-3 right now. Then you got Richie Coy, who's up 3 spots in 4th. He's an additional 0.6 back. So we're seeing a lot of gaps in these cars, and those gaps are probably going to continue throughout this run until they get to their stage break.
Yeah, more than likely. I mean, we talked about it too. Cloud cover, temperatures, tire wear, grooves, open setups, whatever it may be. There are so many factors that go into the way that these guys are driving, the gaps that they're increasing, decreasing, whatever it may be. You're seeing guys like Jeff Chandler, Troy Torgerson. They love running the outside walls. At 39, almost tank slaps it off too. Good save by Torgerson there, who's dropped 2 positions back from where he started, which was on the pole. But Richie Coy also +3 from where he started. Ryan Hedrick +10. There's a lot of guys who continue to move their way up on this leaderboard. Another notable mention, Brody Hanna, talked about him a little bit earlier. Already +17. He's 3 wide down the front stretch, 2-for-1 special for him. Just like Grant Infinger did on Saturday night in the Truck Series race on the back straightaway off too. And Brody Hanna is really flying right now. Not as fast as some of the guys ahead of him, but the fact that he's been able to come through the field when really we've talked about how it's been kind of a struggle to pass unless you've had your preferred groove. I mean, Brody Hanna is doing an excellent job right here. This is the night that he needs, and he's going to need a win here tonight.
Yeah, the 57 of Josh Johnson, that time where Brody went 3 wide, he got loose really bad off of 4, had to save it. And it checked up him in the 4 and then allowed the 23 of Brody Hanna just to scoot on by, or actually it was the 27 rather, that was middle of that 3 wide there. Really checked them up, 23 swooped by. He's up to 8th place that last lap, 25th to 8th. This man is almost up 20 positions already from 26 laps ago. Starting that far in the back, this guy is averaging almost a single car per lap passed. He crossed the line this time, still in 8th place. 5.5 off the race leader. You would expect for someone who started at 25th place to be, 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds back. But this guy still in the 5-second behind bracket. That's super impressive, and these guys should be watch out and be very curious, whenever this stage 2 happens, because this 23 is going to be on a mission to get back up to the top 3.
Yeah, and that's actually a great point to point out there, Jeremy. You see the 57 of Josh Johnson nearly tap the wall there off turn number 4. But, I mean, yeah, you are absolutely correct, and a great point to mention. That 23 machine, once he gets to that stage caution, I mean, he can make the adjustments he needs if he knows what he wants to do. Wow, what a save by the 57 right there. This was the 2-for-1 special off turn 4 for Brody Hand to get around the 27 of Chapman and the 57 of Johnson there. So, great run. And then TJ Bartel comes into the picture along with Chad Lang back behind them as well. But yeah, the 23, if he gets that stage caught, well, not if, he's going to. Once he gets that stage caution, he's going to be able to come in, make the adjustments that he wants and needs, and then he's going to be able to really, put a beating on these guys up at the front of the field. Nicholas Moreau is going to have a hard time handling that 23 Hanna if he does and when he does get to it.
100%, and we got a new person in 3rd place, breaking the podium spot right now. Richie Coy gets around the number 31 of Jeff Chandler. He's going to resume 3rd, and it looks like the 31 starting to fall back just a touch here from his teammate Troy Torgerson. Looks like the long run handling is a little bit better there, and that 39 is still in 2nd place. Still running the same exact lap times as Nicholas Moreau. Still 1.4 off his bumper. He's been in that position probably for the past 5 laps or so, about the 1.5 second bracket away from him. So really consistent speeds here for most of the top 5. And then after Wayne Grossi, it is a 2+ second differential between him and the next guy behind him. So really starting to see what this top 5, top 6 is going to look like as this race starts to wind down.
It's going to be one thing to really, take a big note on here because, we talked about the different setups, the tires, whether you're good at conserving tires, what lane you like running. You're noticing right here, Troy isn't running really that far up to the wall compared to, let's say, Jeff Chandler. And maybe we can get a look here at Nicholas Moreau from an onboard shot on the roof cam to see how far he's running up towards the wall. Because if he's running any further, you see him run towards the bottom. But I've noticed in 3 and 4, he's been running the wall. So we'll see if he runs the wall here in 3 and 4. But I noticed for the last couple laps, whenever I did see Nicholas Moreau, he was running a lot higher than most guys were in 3 and 4. But this time he's going to go to the bottom, probably going to try to conserve these tires, knowing he's still got a handful of laps left to go. And actually, believe it or not, that last time around, Troy was actually faster than Nick by about a tenth. So this is kind of that time where we talked about, as Troy is still faster than Nick by about 0.04 of a second. This is the time, Jeremy, where the 15 starts to fade away. We've seen it time and time again this season. Nicholas Moreau, stellar, stout, short run, medium run speed. Once it gets into the late stages of a run, past about a 40, 50 lap mark, that's when that 15 machine starts to kind of give way, because he did such a good job in the beginning, in the middle. He just can't really seal the deal at the end, but he's done it a few times, so maybe he can close out the stage here. But Troy Torgerson, Richie Coy closing in ever so slightly, and they're bringing Jeff Chandler along with them as well.
I know our producer Dustin has been keeping the camera on the action. I've actually been observing the 15. 2 or 3 laps ago, he ran the wall. The lap after that, he ran the bottom. And then the lap after that, when the camera was off, I'm seeing a little bit of 3 wide here. The 22 Malikian hits the wall, scrubs a lot of speed off, allows the 67, the 57, and the 4, all 3 of those guys to pass him, as he's going to lose several spots here. But it looks like he's going to be okay. And the 57 to Josh Johnson gets some wall glue, trying to really hug that wall on the outside there, as we're going to kick it to Nerd TV replay to see what we just saw there. And right now, 14 of the 22 on your screen, just the 22 up into the wall. That wall kicks out just enough, grabbed him and threw him back about 20-mile-an-hour difference, and it slingshotted the 57, 67, and the 4. But no harm, no foul, just scrubbed a little speed off, some paint too, but he's good to go. But as I was saying, the number 15, he's searching right now. He is testing the waters. He's got this lead. He knows he's got stage break now, 15 laps left. So I've seen him run the wall. I've seen him run the paint line. I've seen him run the middle of the track every other lap. So he's just trying to figure out where his car is running best. And this is great. You have the luxury of this lead. You can take it to do what you want to, figure out where your car is going to work best, and then dial it in for the long run.
And that's something to definitely point in here. You know, he's definitely using this practically as a test session, since he's out front figuring where he likes his car, where he thinks that he can make adjustments for his car, whether he wants drive off, whether he wants more rotation in the center, whether he wants speed, whether he wants down, whatever it may be. Any adjustments that number 15 car can make to that machine is going to be very, very key here for when they get past the stage break here and then start their run towards the finish, because you never know. We may not get a caution. So Nicholas Moreau is learning every single lap here, and he's actually kind of stabilized his gap just a little bit. It was almost to about a second. As you see, the 19 of Richie Coy work to the bottom of Torgerson here going into 1. It's a Ford versus Chevy battle. Coy's going to go all the way to the bottom of the racetrack here. He should be able to clear Torgerson off the corner. He will, as Troy gets very loose there off turn number 2. So Richie Coy already up into the second place spot, trying to extend his points gap here tonight. But everybody, Jeremy, besides the 15, is going to be looking to make adjustments. And look at this. For the first time all day long so far, we've had a little bit of sunshine here coming down on the racetrack.
Yeah, the weather says it was mostly cloudy to start this thing, but now it says overcast, so it's going to be very spotty. So parts of these tracks is going to get a little bit warmer. Some parts of the track are going to remain the same temperature-wise. So you see it right there on the left-hand side of your screen. Still about 9-mile-an-hour winds coming from the south end of the racetrack. 72 degrees in the skies, overcast, and 87 on the track as an overall temperature gauge. But right now on the front stretch, it's going to start warming up, and through turns 1 and 2 last lap, it will still underneath some cloud cover here. And actually, the skies have really opened up throughout the track. So now this whole track's going to start to warm up here. This might change the complexity. As you see on the 19 and the 39, all of a sudden in your same screen as the 15.
I wonder if something happened to the 15 there off the corner at some time within these last 2 laps. I mean, I didn't really notice anything. Yeah, off turn 4 last lap here, and I don't know if he got the wall, maybe he got loose or whatnot, but this has opened up the door big time here as they're coming to the stage break here. I believe lap 50, and Richie Coy, your points leader, is all over the back bumper of Rocket Man Moreau here. We're going to have a three-way battle here for the stage, and to see who can last the longest on this first set of tires that they've been provided. Richie Coy looks down to the inside of the racetrack, trying to stick his nose right on the inside. Moreau's going to try to close the door a little bit. Not going to be enough. Struggles off the corner. And Richie Coy, the Haskell, New Jersey native, goes right to the front here as Troy Torgerson follows him as well on the one.
Battle is definitely heating up here. Third lead change of the night. This time belongs to the 19 of Richie Coy. Torgerson trying to make the pass, and I think he made some contact there at the 15 off of turn 2. Dead heat side by side. Getting to turn number 3. This is temporarily going to allow the 19 of Coy to kind of get past, as the 39 has the faster car than the 15 right now, but just the inside lane, you see the 15 slap the wall again, getting really loose every single time off of turn 4 now. He was running consistent 0.7, 0.8s up until 4 laps ago, and he dropped 0.4 of a second every single lap since then, that 15 did. This is why the 19 and the 39 are all of a sudden in your picture here trying to pass the 15. He just can't get the job done on the bottom. The 15 needs to make another mistake, and this is allowing Richie to really get another 6 or 7 car length lead now over the 15.
15 is struggling big time in the chats. Doyle Lawrence said the 15 got loose big time, and yeah, that was the case for sure. And I mean, he's been so loose at every end of the racetrack, whether it be off 2, whether it be off 4, the tri-oval, whatever it may be. The 15 of Moreau has dropped to second now. Kind of got past Troy Torgerson. That was very close a couple laps ago as you see him loose again off turn 2. Him and Torgerson made contact. That could have been very big. Could have knocked out a toe link if they made a little bit harder contact. Could have put both of them up into the wall. And that could have been 2 heavy hitters that Richie Coy would have had to say bye-bye to, and he would have had an easier time. But he's starting to pull away just a little bit. But Nicholas Moreau is not giving up yet here as we hit lap 45 right now here into turn number 1. Nicholas Moreau is not giving up, Jeremy. He is ripping the top lane in that number 15 Camaro, trying to run down the number 19 DeWalt Ford Mustang.
We're coming up to 5 laps to go in this run here. We're going to run off the right rear side of the 15. I think he got the wall a little bit. You can see how close. When the camera goes into the wall, you know you're in a little bit of trouble. And this is going to allow the 39 there of Torgerson to make that pass officially. So with 5 laps to go, the 15 of Moreau is going to drop back to 3rd place, but not by much. As you see, he's already on the attack, trying to get around 39, but just can't do it there. Off of turn 2 on the bottom, just has no speed. 39's going to clear him, no problem. And so now the 15 needs to figure out where he wants to put his car in the long run. He knows it's loose. Does he want to have it dialed in at the top or the bottom? Because right now he is searching, and this is the shortest run. You know, when we get to stage 2, I think you said it earlier, there's probably not going to be many cautions, if at all, other than the guaranteed stage break. So your car has to be locked in for this long run coming up, or else you might be in trouble.
Yeah, and that's a very big possibility too, you know, is no cautions. Is so you better, when you come down here and take these 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles, take that Sunoco Racing fuel here, once we get to the end of this stage, you better make in your adjustments for if you're going for a green, white, checkered finish. But if that green, white, checkered finish was over 100 laps long. So, I mean, you better dial in your race car pretty well here, because you don't know if you're going to get another opportunity to have enough time where you can make as many adjustments. You know, you've seen guys coming onto pit road on green flag stops. They're trying to get all their adjustments in, whether they have that that program that assists them with, you know, making pit strategy calls, whether they have to do it manually with whether it be hotkeys, their mouse, keyboard, whatever it may be that they use, because so many drivers use different preferences. They might not be able to make all the adjustments that they want when they have green flag pit stops, and if they do have green flag pit stops. So everybody's kind of really settling in now as we're getting ready to come to the end of the stage. They know what they have, and they want to make sure that they have even more here for when they go back racing for the next half of the stage.
And you're not wrong with that. Different ways to get around this track. Sylvain Jolly, if you remember, has the the controller that he uses to race these things each and every time he shows up. So, but we are to the white flag on the stage here. The 19 of Richie Coy is going to get around Justin Diltz here on the trial And he's going to have a second lead over the 39 and then the 15. So right now, as long as everyone stays, you know, not wrecking themselves here, we're going to finish out with 4 different teams inside the top 5. That's awesome to see here. Richie Coy leading the way with Fury Motorsports. Troy Torgerson and Jeff Chandler, the only 2 teammates in the top 5 together. They're going to be from RPM Motorsports. Nicholas Moreau with Moreau Motorsports, and then Wayne Grossi with Wayne Grossi Racing. Going to complete this top 5 here. As they're waiting for 10th place to cross the line, you'll see the caution flag then fly for the Roasted Gems Coffee. And then it'll complete stage 1 here. Just waiting for the official flag here. And there it is. Roasted Gems Coffee officially out. So these guys are going to have like 3 laps of caution, maybe 4, to get this thing dialed in. But in the meantime, while these guys wind down and hit pit road, we're going to take it to picture-in-picture commercial. We'll be right back with you guys here after a few messages. And we're back to full screen here as our commercial break is done, and we're going to see exactly who gets to come on pit road here. But first, we're going to take it to Nerd TV Replay. We had an awesome battle here right now, riding with the 24. This is coming to stage in here. The 23 Hannah, the 24 Llewellyn, and the 22. They have Malikian 3 wide crossing the finish line here with Brody Hannah. Kind of fitting, the 22, 23, 24. Numbers all in succession there. And look at that. That was such a beautiful finish. The 23 Hannah had the advantage coming through turn 3 and just had to check up a lot and allowed that 3 wide situation to happen. But what a finish there.
Saw it, and that's why when we went to caution, I kept calling out. I was like, hey, we better take a look at these finish. I think they were like 3 wide. And obviously, I'm not looking at the official server feed. I'm looking here at the production feed. And I mean, all I saw on the leaderboard was that, you know, the 23, the 22, and the 24 were flip-flopping constantly that last lap. And then when they crossed the line, the caution came out. I saw the 23 finally, you know, jolt out ahead. So I was like, oh, that had to have been close. So might as well take a look at it. And good driving there by Brody Hannah, man. He almost got into the wall there off 4, and he had just enough momentum to squeak by the 22 machine and also the 24. But he's dropped back a little bit, actually, from pit stops. He's actually down to 12th now. So Brody Hannah losing a couple spots on pit road. But Richie Coy still first. Troy Torgerson and Nicholas Moreau still the top 3 right now, who've been stout so far all race long.
I'm going to try to do a quick recap here of the Nerd TV top 10 as we got just over a lap left here. Richie Coy is going to be starting this race P1. Troy Torgerson with an excellent pit stop. He's going to be starting in 2nd place here. Nicholas Moreau remains in third place in the 15. Let's see what kind of changes he made to that car. Fourth place, Jeff Chandler also remaining in fourth place. And then James Wallace going to be starting in fifth place. I think that's your best mover there through pit roads. And then sixth place, TJ Bartel, last of RPM Motorsports, going to be starting in sixth. Wayne Grossi fell back a few spots. He's going to be starting in seventh place. Let's see what he's got for that 7 Pennzoil machine. Ryan Hedrick up 9 spots since the start of this race, 55 laps ago, starting in 8th place. Let's see what he's got for these guys. Stephen Lou Allen only up or down 1 spot there. Very, very consistent, maintaining just inside the top 10. He's going to be starting in 9th place. And then Robert Malinky in there in the 22. Gonna be up 5 spots since the start of this race. Going to be starting just in your 10th place here. That's going to be your Nerd TV top 10 recap as we have a quarter of a lap left before these guys are going to see the green flag fly. And if it's anything like stage 1, we're probably going to see this flag fly only one more time, and it's going to be this time here. We got just over 110 laps to figure this thing out. Richie Coy, let's see what kind of start he can do. Started in 7th place on this race, starting in 1st place now. Green flag is out, underway for stage 2. He gets a great launch over the 39 there at Torgerson, clears him before even turn 1 happens. The 15 in row gets an excellent start here. He's going to maintain follow suit behind the 19, side by side all the way through the field through 1 and 2.
Still double wide back behind the 1st place driver, Richie Coy. Torgerson outside, followed in tow by his teammate right there. It's Jeff Chandler in the 31 machine. Coy drops down to the bottom to try to block Moreau's run. This is going to open up the door up on the outside for Torgerson to try to make a move there. Looked like some trouble into turns 3 and 4. Troy's got a little bit of a run, but they're jockeying for position back behind them like it was the Kentucky Derby this past Saturday as they head into 1. Lots of drivers, 2, 3, almost 4 wide here as they work their way into turn 2.
Got Marvin Malikian on your screen right there as you cycle through the field. Robert Malikian hit the wall there coming off of 3 and 4. Little wall glue, then right behind him, the 27 to Chapman with the domino effect did the same exact thing, and it checked up him and Michael Blackner. So several guys lost a few spots there going through the corner. These guys are still side by side trying to figure out where exactly they need to be on this track, as this Kansas Speedway is showing a lot of racing here, especially up here inside the top 5 and top 10. These guys are all still side by side.
Still side by side, and Nicholas Moreau trying to make a jab here at Richie Coy to the inside. Wasn't enough there off turn number 2. Troy and Nick are still side by side here for the 2nd place spot. And James Wallace, who's up 18 spots from where he started, had to start at the rear of the field. Here he is inside the top 5, trying to go for the 3rd place spot right behind Torgerson, but he's under fire from Grossi, Lou Allen, and also keep in mind Brody Hanna as well, plus 18 from where he started. They're 2, 3 wide here as they work their way off 2. The 7 gets a boot from the 23. No harm, no foul. Here comes Wallace with a run on the 39 into 3.
Has to back it off, allows Wayne Grossi to get to the inside of James Wallace there as they're going to maintain side by side through 3 and 4. Richie, Nicholas Moreau, 39 Torgerson, all clear. The first side by side is the 7 and 67 with the 23 making some excellent moves to get himself just outside the top 5, currently in 6th. Now he's looking to the bottom of the 67, trying to get into the top 5.
Wallace had to lay off a little bit here into 1 as the 7 gets put in the middle, 3 wide. He's the meat in that sandwich, going all the way through the sucker hole in between Wallace and Hanna there. He'll drop all the way back to the 6th spot. Brody Hanna digging on the bottom. He's going to clear the 67 off turn 4, doesn't jump up to the outside because Troy Torgerson drops back into the clutches of Wallace here heading into turn number 1. Moreau, though, still trying his hardest to get past Richie Coy. It's only back by about a 1/10 and a half here as they work their way off 2.
Watching the 23, stupid impressive stuff here to really pass a lot of these guys. But right there, you don't see it off the back bumper because they're looking forward, but on the back bumper, the 7 tried to make a pass. The 23 put a decent block on him when the 7 squared him up in the rear end saying, hey, I'm here, I saw that. But it's going to allow the 23 to remain in 4th place at the line, as the 67 of James Wallace is tandeming the 39 through the start-finish line.
Wallace has nowhere to go right now, trying everything he can do to get around the 39. He knows he's fast up top as the 23 almost squeezes Torgerson there, up and into the wall there off turn number 2. No harm, no foul, no contact made. Wallace, though, still in tow behind them. Wayne Grossi trying to maintain his position and gain back, as you see a little bit of contact there almost between Hanna and Torgerson there off turn number 4. But Wallace and Grossi are just held up by these two who are still side by side going into 1 and 2.
Fourth lead change potentially happening here is the 15 of Moreau is going to go to the outside of the 19 of Richie Coy. Makes it happen there. Going to turn 3 and 4. They're still side by side as you're now looking on board on the front side of Brody Hanna's car. Running patiently now in third, at least for the guys up front. He's doing a lot of work on the backside to make sure these guys do not pass him. But the top 3 right now, a little bit of a separation, about a couple car lengths between them and the rest of everybody else. So it's coming through 1 and 2. The 15 and the 23 looks like they're temporarily clear, but the 23 of Brody Hanna, look at this guy coming from 25th to potentially first as he's about to clear his teammate Richie Coy. Fury Motorsports right now 1 and 2. I am just really amazed of how well this 23 car is driving right now.
This 23 is on rails right now. You might as well call him Thomas the Tank Engine, because he is clearly number 1 right now. And he's also number 1 out on the racetrack right now. P1 gets past his teammate and also Nicholas Moreau, who's fallen into the clutches of Troy Torgerson, who he battled a little bit with earlier. And Wayne Grossi, where did he come from? Was stuck mired back in traffic beforehand. He's all the way up onto the 3rd place spot. That's a podium position. And Torgerson finally gets the outside advantage here on the outside of Moreau off turn number 4. He's going to bring Wallace with him. Slams the door on Torgerson there off the corner. And Llewellyn side drafts Wallace down the front straightaway. But Moreau trying all he can do to hold off the pack behind him.
39 last time off of turn 2, I believe, hit the wall a little bit. And then through the front stretch, the 67 and 24, they look like they almost hit each other's door panels there coming to the start-finish line. But these guys have all single-filed out up until right now, where the 39 Torgerson actually gets a great run over the top side of the 15 of Nicholas Moreau. But Moreau able to get enough momentum off the bottom half of turn 4 to maintain his position in P4 right now. The top 7 all single file before you get to your first race between the 30 of Bartel and teammate 31, Jeff Chandler.
Yeah, Jeff Chandler's trying everything he can do right now to hold off TJ Bartel, who's been slowly creeping up through the field, only +3 from where he started. Also, Ryan Hedrick there in the number 47 DraftKings Chevy Camaro. He's ripping that top lane right above that middle seam there. Don't want to get up on that seam too much. That's going to create a little bit of tire wear because you're going to be slipping and sliding. So make sure you don't catch that left front or that right rear on those seams here. But they're battling side by side into one. Bartel trying everything he can do to get past those guys up on the top.
Still looking at some awesome racing here. The 30 and the 47 still side by side, and now the 33 wants to get side by side with the 22 and Malikian here. First time we really talked about Sherwood Williford here, running just around the top 10 in this race. Started 14th, running about 10th right now, so he's up 4 spots since the drop of the green flag 70 laps ago. He's trying to move up here, but still the single file through the top 7, and right now this is where all the heat or the action's right now heating up at.
Right now here, Jeremy, can't really get around one another until about the tires equalize and put in a little bit of wear. Those guys on the bottom side of the racetrack, sure, they're not on the what they would call the preferred groove. Remember, Kansas Speedway, 17 to 20 degrees from the start of the apron, right when that bottom lane starts, 17 degrees, all the way up to that progressive 20 degrees of banking there through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you could really run any lane you want, but the outside here at Kansas usually dominates. You see the 44, Jeff Beck, sideways heading into turn 1. He saves it. You see a little bit of puff of smoke coming out there when he entered 1. He was able to save it. That's 3 times now I've seen the 44 almost go around, so good save by him. But once these tires start to wear out a little bit, you're going to see these guys start to get a little bit more spread out, and you're going to see guys be able to kind of migrate to the top, middle, bottom, whatever it may be that they feel the most comfortable with. But everybody's still kind of jockeying around for position and jostling around here in a little bit of a pack there towards the midway part of the field.
We're seeing the 4 and the 44 now, basically in the same part of the track here. 15th and 16th for Flying Tiger Motorsports as the 14 to Lane Allen gets some Blagoo third turns 1 and 2. He's going to lose 3 spots to the 37, 57, and 98 of Chris Curtis there. That's going to drop back Lane Allen all the way to about 21st place there as he is struggling right now at Kansas Motor Speedway.
A lot of guys who are kind of struggling right now That 44 machine in particular, minus 13 from where he started after starting towards the front, and was eventually leading this race at one point. Now he's all the way back there. You see the 57 of Joshua Johnson right where he started. But, you know, I mean, he was up there a little bit beforehand. He's popped the wall a few times. There's a lot of guys right now who are just struggling. Chris Curtis talked about it. Steven Allen as well. Lewis Meglin as well, minus 10 from where he started in the 43 machine. A lot of guys right now, it's either you are good at this track right now or you're not good at this track. Everybody struggling for grip, even though this track is a lot cooler than what it was yesterday in the Real Cup race. And also that cloud cover playing a big dividend here as we have a battle starting to heat up for the lead here off turn number 4.
Will this be the end of Brody Hanna's amazing run here, or is it just him taming the tires for the long run portion of this race? We're about to find out here as his teammate is back to the bumper of the 23 here. Fury Motorsports 1 and 2. Wayne Grossi Racing, the only driver on his team in that 7 Pennzoil Chevrolet. And right now he's under attack by the lone Moreau Motorsports driver, Nicholas Moreau. As right now every one of these guys in the top 4 and 5 running the bottom half of the track before you see the 39 wall ripping like he has been all race long. So I don't know if the grip levels have changed on the top, but we're seeing a lot more guys run the bottom half here halfway through this race.
I'm getting a lot of flashbacks to my first race over here on Nerd TV with the guys who are up into the top 4. It was mainly those 4 guys when the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series went to Phoenix just a handful of weeks ago. Well, not really a handful of weeks ago. A little bit of time now has gone by since then, but this was the 4 guys who are up into the top 4 that were really battling in that race. And I actually believe even Stephen Llewellyn was up there as well. But these guys are really putting on a show here at the virtual Kansas Speedway here for these virtual sim racing fans and also the fans watching at home. And these guys are battling like it's the last lap, every lap trying to make sure they can conserve their tires enough, but also battle hard because you see the 23 right there loose off the corner. He might give up this position to his teammate. Tires are starting to wear out just a little bit, like I was going to say here, Jeremy. As you see the 23 kind of sliding up. He's loose off turn 4. What a save by Brody Hanna off turn number 4. But it opens up the door for not only the point leader and his teammate, Richie Coy, but here comes Moreau. Grossi, he falls all the way back to nearly the 4th position as they head into 2.
Man, the 23 is really going to get his tires cooled off here. He's going to be in some trouble as these guys are starting to pass him, and Nerd TV Replay is going to show you exactly here. Runs the middle lane, and the 19 almost looks like he takes a little bit of air off that spoiler. Gets the 23 loose. 19 passes him really easily there. The 15 goes around him in a half a lap later, and now the number 7 of Wayne Grossi finds himself in 3rd place, trying to get around the 15 as well to put himself in 2nd. Brody Hanna's in a lot of trouble here, and now he's under fire with the 24. The 23 gets loose. Brody Hanna, big time trouble, almost 3 wide here, gets loose and turns 1 in. Also turn 2 makes contact with the 24. Steve Llewellyn destroys the wall, flips over, and this will bring out your 2nd Roasted Gems coffee. First one from a green flag incident between the 23 and the 24. And it looks like the 24 moved up the track after the 23 became stable there, Jason.
Wow, that was a hit. You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of Ryan Preece's hit coming off turn number 2 back in 2020 during the Kansas night race when he spun out of control there off turn number 2, slammed the inside retaining wall on the safer barrier, went up in the air, went on his side, and sat back down on all 4 wheels. This is just such a hard hit. You see right here, it looks like he has it saved, but then all of a sudden, he just can't get it stopped. I mean, you're already carrying so much speed.
Man.
Car noses in, does a complete barrel roll here, goes over once, twice, almost 3 times right here, and then comes to rest right on its side before tipping back onto those right rear Goodyear Eagles. Man, that 24 machine, so strong tonight. Unfortunately, Stephen Llewellyn's night in that number 24 iRacers Lounge podcast machine is going to come to an end here.
Yeah, just this race was so eventful on the track, right? Nothing really contact-wise up until this point, and then, man, what a wreck. That's super unfortunate. I'm glad he was in a virtual car because that would have been a heavy impact that would have hurt him, at least shaking the driver up. But these guys are on pit road. We're going to take our time to go back to picture-in-picture commercial mode. So we'll be back with you guys after a few messages. And back to full screen coverage here as we got about a quarter of a lap, not even, before we go back to green flag action here. Richie Coy is going to lead this field once again to the start, this time to his outside. Dancing partner is going to be Nicholas Moreau here. And green flag is officially out here. The 23 of Brody Hanna pushing the 19. His teammate past the 15 here. Now the 23 with a fresh set of tires and starting in third place. If the 23 can hold his or maintain his grip levels here, we might see a different animal here on the long run. But right now, coming through turns 1 and 2 side by side here, 23 just so much faster than his teammate Richie Coy. I think this pass is going to happen real easy as he actually pushed his teammate up into the wall here.
He's saving
the 15, the 39, and Wayne Grossi gifted the race lead, 5th lead change this evening.
Wow, that was very, very odd there off turn into turn 3, Jeremy. The 23, it's like he didn't even bother to try to go to the bottom. That thing just went completely aerotight, almost sucked the thing around, put the 19 up under the wall. What a stellar drive, though. If this was ARCA and we had to give a Reese's sweet move of the race, it would go to the 19 machine, because that was one hell of a save through the middle of 3 and 4, because that 19 almost was done. Could have caused a massive pile up in the center of the corner, but thankfully, Richie Coy, being the talented driver he is here in the FTSR Mach-1 Performance Cup Series, he was able to save that thing. And here they are. They keep on driving, keep on digging at the virtual Kansas Speedway. And we also got a new leader. Wayne Grossi took major advantage over those two Fury Motorsports cars, nearly getting together through the center of 1 and 2. And he's kind of driving away a little bit, but don't mind the fact, though, no damage, no harm, no foul. Those 23 and 19 cars, they're going to be flying. They're going to catch that 7 in a hurry, because Brody Hanna has been so stout on the bottom of the racetrack all night long. I definitely believe that 23's preferred groove is the bottom side.
You can only imagine the chats there in the Fury Motorsports channel saying, hey, what was that? And then the other guy's like, hey, I apologize for that. But it's kind of put them not too far back, though, really, on their TV replays. You're going to see all what this entailed here for that 3 wide here with the 15 of Moreau. Just could not make the pass on the 19. The 22 Malikian slides up the track, puts him 3 wide momentarily with the 39 as well. But since the 22 checked up, allowed the 15 to clear him, and then gets a great launch somehow on the inside of Troy Torgerson, makes that pass happen. It's going to keep him in 4th place, but right after that, it is really single filed out, really the top 10 here. We've seen the 39 of Torgerson run the top, but outside of that, everybody else is kind of running middle to bottom. Really spaced out here early in the going for this 3rd start of the race.
What? Look who's lurking right there in that number 4 Oreo machine. I tell you what, if Chad Lang somehow, some way ends up winning this race, I'm going to go to my nearest 7-Eleven and buy me a little mini pack of Oreo cookies here. But look at this, so close. I tell you what, Jeremy and Dustin, there might have been a little bit of contact right there. Maybe if we can get another replay from the 23's onboard, it looked like he kind of maybe, just maybe, tapped the 19 ever so slightly in the center of 3 and 4 there. Gonna be interesting to see here as we take a look here at the camera. Dustin giving us all the great camera angles like usual. Here we go, and oh, it's so close. It's so close. I wonder if that right rear made contact with the left rear of the 19 machine, but there was no contact from what we just saw right there. That was all just aero and guys just going after it for the race lead there off turn number 4. As you see the 15 as we come back to live, the 15 almost up and into the wall, and this gives the advantage to Chad Lang, Jeremy. He's going to the inside of the racetrack for position.
Chad Lang with a fresh set of tires, looking a lot stronger here, finding himself in the top 5 for the first time this evening. Started 18th in 5th place now, so let's see if he can do, or what he can do rather, to hold inside the top 5 here. But Nicholas Moreau is going to put a hard fight here on the top of the half of the track. The 15 of Moreau doesn't really run the top side as much as some of these other guys, but right now doing a pretty decent job at it here. I'm really curious to see where the 7 Wayne Grossi ends up after being gifted the lead momentarily. He got passed by Fury Motorsports, drops him back to 3rd. But some of these guys like James Wallace in the 67, I know he's made a couple changes to that car. He's still maintaining inside the top 10. I think he's going to have a really good long-run car if this thing goes green the rest of the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys right now who are up in the top 10 who, you either didn't expect or they came from the back, drove all the way up to the front. We talked about Brody Hanna messing up his qualifying lap, like Dustin said during pre-race, right before we put these cars on the virtual grid on pit road. Brody started in the back. Chad Lang started kind of mid-pack, And then obviously James Wallace started at the back as well. He's up 15 spots. There's a lot of guys up in this top 10 who really have the strength to go after these Fury Motorsports guys. I mean, Nicholas Moreau so far, if we want to talk about a recap, Nicholas Moreau, very strong in the beginning, not very good on the long runs. The 23 to 19 made contact into 3 almost. They've been very strong all night. The 23 though, from all the way from the back to the front, I mean, that car is so good on the bottom. But once we get into a long run, it's going to be interesting to see which of these drivers in this top 10 or any drivers are going to be able to attack the Fury Motorsports guys. You see the 19, he's already fallen back a little bit. He's all the way back into the clutches of Troy Torgerson and Wallace back in the 6th and 7th position. So really, Jeremy, this is still anybody's race. I don't really think there's really quite a definitive favorite to win. I mean, I'm still putting my money on Brody Hanna, but I really do believe, though, that this 4 of Chad Lang has something for these guys at the front of the field.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see if he can hold his own. I know he was back there between 15th and 20th place there before the caution had come out. So to really see the 4 up here for the first time, we're going to find out here in the next 15, 20 laps, I would imagine, to see exactly what Chad Lane can do for his team here. Flying Tire Motorsports currently still holding in 4th place side by side here. Richie Coy is starting to drop back here, gets passed by the 39 of Torgerson. Now the 67 of James Wallace has the preferred line here through 3 and 4, but it looks like Richie Coy has a really strong corner exit there through 4, but still the 67 being pulled in from the 39 here. He's going to get back to his door panel, coming to turn number 1. Let's see what he can do with Richie Coy.
Yeah, we'll have to see here. And there's a lot of guys that we talked about, too, who are coming into the picture. See, the 4 almost gets up into Grassi there off turn number 2. That was almost a mirror image of the 19 to 23's near contact into 3 on the restart there. And this opens up the door for Troy Torgerson to the outside lane. 3 wide back to 2 now. He's going to try to get the momentum off the corner and chase after Wayne Grassi for that 3rd place up on the podium. And Chad Lang saying, hey, man, don't forget about me. He's battling hard. Nearly made contact there with Torgerson entering turn 1. Wallace to the outside of Coy. And also, here comes Ryan Hedrick as well, +9. Tony Solari, another Fury Motorsports driver as well. It's Fury Motorsports versus the entire field practically up at the front of this field, but it's still Fury Motorsports out front with Brody Hanna nearly pulling away from Rocket Man Barreau by over a second now.
As we're approaching lap 100, this race is getting really good here as the 1911 almost went 3 wide with the 47. This number 11, Tony Solari, thought twice of it, backed off the corner entrance there. But the 4 of Chad Lane gets really tight off the corner now. Richie's going to try to look to the bottom, but actually says, nope, I'm going to actually keep it safe here, play the patient card. I'm going to run right behind him. As there's still 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 inside the top 10. Meanwhile, the 23, Hannah's got a whole second lead because of all these guys racing behind him. But this race is getting really good, Jason, and we're, 2/3 of the way done with this event.
Kansas, we talked about it, how good the Real Life Cup Series put on a show for the fans at home watching and the fans at the racetrack, fans listening on the radio on MRN. I mean, this track used to be one of those tracks where it's like, you didn't really think anything of it. And because of the wear, after about 4 or 5 years, once they repaved this racetrack, I believe it was either Denny Hamlin or somebody's podcast I was listening to last week before they came into Kansas this past week, and they talked about how after 4 or 5 years from that repave, when that was, this track really got good. And obviously this track scanned on iRacing. It's just provided a lot of good racing, no matter what series you run, whether it's the ARCA car, whether it's the new Gen 4 Cup car, whether it's the next gen, the trucks, the Xfinity cars. Heck, you could practically put anything out here that has a decent amount of horsepower, and you're going to get something good out of it. That's just the thing. And Dustin mentioned it during pre-race. These cookie cutter 1.5 miles, we went away from them, went to more road courses. NASCAR's finally trying to get more back into the short track action. Obviously, they've gone to Lucas Oil. They're going to the Milwaukee Mile this year. Obviously, bringing back North Wilkesboro as well for the NASCAR Cup Series All-Star race. But there's these gems, like Dustin said, for these 1.5 mile tracks. You think of Charlotte, you think of Texas, Chicagoland. Obviously, Chicago not on the schedule anymore, even though I would love to see these NASCAR Next Gen race cars on the and yeah, Dustin seconds that on the Chicagoland Speedway, and even Kentucky. Obviously, with that repave, didn't play out the best for those guys. but you never know. And that's the great thing about these mile-and-a-half races that play out with tire strategy, heat, cool, whatever it may be, tires. I just anything. I keep repeating myself, but that's the great thing about these mile-and-a-halves. I've always thought that it provides really great racing when you go to the right tracks. And Kansas Speedway is one of those tracks you see Chad Lang up and into the wall there off turn number 4.
Our producer Justin lives in the Chicago, Illinois area, so no surprise there. But I also have to third that. That track got really good on the top half of the racetrack, especially on the longer run. So it would have been cool to see these cars there. But maybe sometime in the future, you never know. But as you were talking there a couple laps ago, 2 sets of 3 wide all through turns 1 and 2. And by the time they got to 3 and 4, they all single filed out for the most part. So temporarily had a really strong little battle. You see the 4 of Lane getting a little squirrely off the wall there. Again, shoves the 27 of Ryan Chapman down below the white line there through the front stretch. As it comes through 1 and 2 now, it looks like the 4 temporarily having some struggles with that machine as his tires are cooked. Coming from outside the top 4 all the way back to 12th place just a handful of laps later. It's just Flying Tiger Motorsports machine just cannot get the long run figured out here at Kansas.
Fortunately, the way that the cookie crumbles here, no pun intended for the Oreo machine. You see the 27 Chapman nearly loses it there off the corner and almost made contact there with, I believe, if I'm correct, that's not Ryan Chapman. Yeah, that's Michael Blackner there in the 87 machine. Almost made contact as well. A few other guys that were almost involved there as well. So good save by all these guys. Tires are starting to play into effect. Some guys have short run, medium length run. Some guys have super long run speed. You know, like you're seeing James Wallace. He's starting to kind of pick up the pace a little bit. Richie Coy, we've seen him have longer run speed. Everybody is kind of dialing it in. And remember, they're going to have to make at least one more stop, more than likely here, before the end of this race. So maybe we'll see a caution. Maybe we'll see green flag pit stops. You never know. But if we do have green flag pit stops, Jeremy, be very, very careful. Because when you mix in these guys on newer tires and these guys on older tires, disaster is almost bound to happen. And also, don't forget that tricky entrance coming onto pit road.
Number 44 struggled through turn 4 last time, slapped the wall, and then he still picked up speed after hitting the wall and almost got complete to the back bumper of the 11 and the 47 there. Super impressed by that. But then a lap later, here comes the 22 of Malikian on the inside there of Chris Beck. Let's see if he gets around him here. This racing just outside the top 5 is really good stuff right now. There's racing all around the track, but right here, especially between 5th place and 10th place, we're seeing really good stuff here. Jumping to the chats. See Doyle Lawrence continuing showing support here for his teammates there of RPM Motorsports. And also Derek Walsh jumps in for the first time saying Gate Broadcast. So appreciate the feedback, guys. Continue to chat in here as we got chats open on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So feel free to chat away. And right now, the 11 and the 47 almost was cleared. And they see a couple cars getting sideways there. It looked like the 11 of Tony Slaughter was going to get completely out of shape. Saves it, allows the 47 to get back to him. And the 11, just like the other Fury Motorsports driver, Richie Coy, and even Brody Hanna at times, just can't find a long run grip. Cars are just loose all over the place, even with the continued cloud coverage here at Kansas. And it is for us here in the booth and the guys watching the race here tonight. This is producing some awesome racing so far.
Yeah, it definitely is. And obviously, we talked about tire wear. It's really starting to play a factor here, whether you're tight or loose. You've seen that 4 nearly pop. And not even nearly. He has popped the wall either off 4 or off 2 here. You see right there, that's the 87, Michael Blackner. He's in the wall into turn 3. Everybody. Oh, and there's another car up and into the wall right there. That's Brian Dublé there. Pounds or pancakes the outside wall there off turn number 4. Man, oh man, everybody is kind of struggling here in the mid to back end of the field here besides those race leaders here. Everybody begging for a caution or hoping at some point somebody is willing enough to come and open up the door for green flag pit stops and start off this strategy cycle.
These guys might not make it to green flag pit stops the way they keep racing. These guys are loose all over the track, and so one of these guys might give a little too much sideways action off the corner and spin themselves out. But right now, it's just we're still seeing continued side-by-side action here, about 10th place or so. The top 10 really just they're running single file, but they're running close to each other. So at any moment, we're going to see some awesome racing around the remaining part of this track here. are on board, or at least the camera focused on the 4 of Chad Lang here. The 31 of Torgerson now finds himself, or Jeff Chandler rather, finds himself into the wall there, trying to run a little bit higher than Chad Lang to get that nose, a little bit of air to get that downforce, and he pays the price for it. Now we're going to go 3 wide almost here, as Michael Blackner and Ryan Chapman are both going to go around the inside of the 31 of Jeff Chandler, last week's race winner. It's going to drop him outside the top 10 and almost into 15.
Yeah, and Jeff Chandler was a guy who was very, very strong and stout in the beginning of this race, Jeremy. You see him look to the inside of Ryan Chapman entering 3, with also the 87 of Michael Blackner behind them. And also Sherwood Williford back there as well, Brian Dublé, and other drivers as well. That 31, he was very strong at the beginning of this race, and now he's kind of starting to fall off, probably because there's some damage, I believe, on the right-hand side of that number 31 Chevy Camaro. But entering turn 3 just a couple laps ago, you see the 11 nearly loose right in front of Malicki in there in the 22 machine. That could have been very detrimental right there off 2. But I believe the 4 didn't know that the 31 was going to necessarily go to the bottom there, and the 4 wanted to run the top, and I believe he kind of just pinched them in the wall right there. So unfortunately, that's just misjudging coming into the corner right there on Chad Lang and the 31 of Jeff Chandler's part right there. But, I mean, they keep on going here. No yellows besides our 1 stage caution, Jeremy. Do you think that's going to change here as the race progresses?
We will definitely see another set of pit stops, whether if it's under green flag situation or yellow. These guys have 3 more sets of tires in pit road waiting for them. So as soon as they get the cue, they're going to be heading down, and we're getting close to 50 laps left. So we might see guys pit as early as 5 to 10 laps from now. Maybe just try to shortcut the run a little bit. We're on the nose right now of the 31 of Chandler, who's trying to regain those spots after wall riding about 5 laps ago. Currently behind both Flying Tiger Motorsports, the 44 and the 4, as those teammates are running side by side here, giving each other lots of space there, being teammates. Unlike the 23 and the 19, about 30. Oh, and the 4 wall glues right in front of the 31, gives a free spot to Jeff Chandler. Thankfully, he had the cohesion there to avoid the 4, and it's going to drop him back about 5 or 6 car lengths here. Now he's going to fall back to the 27 of Chapman and 87 there of Michael Blackner. It looks like no harm, no foul, though, and he continues to go straight.
Yeah, that 4 right now looks like he has a little too much icing, not enough cookie on that number 4 Oreo machine, because he is absolutely plowing the wall almost every single corner. He is begging and pleading for a caution right now. Or maybe, like we talked about before, somebody to open up that door, be the brave unknown soldier and head to pit road, open up the door for green flag pit stops. But you could see multiple guys, and we already know, Jeremy, this is not a, oh, it's not going to happen. We already know this. There are going to be guys that undercut it from the back. There are going to be guys that, are completely on scheduled time. And then there's going to be the guys, maybe, like, let's say, Brian Dublé, Stephen Allen possibly, they might try to stay out as long as possible until a caution, because by the way that these guys are running right now, and with the room, you talk about room there off the corner with the teammates, the 4 and the 44, there almost wasn't room there off turn number 2. The 4 nearly got loose and door slammed the 44 off the corner. So everybody right now is running their own lanes. Tires are completely shot out here. They're practically cordoned probably. These guys, these Goodyear Eagles, they're begging to be taken off these race cars here. And here we go. First one coming in. Oh, he's going to spin out. That's going to bring your first Roasted Gems coffee of the night out. Oh, my goodness. Collects the 37 of Brian Dublé. Other drivers involved here. You see Josh Johnson going through the grass. Oh, and another car almost comes right in as the 44 loops it around right there. Wow, Jeremy, I talked about it getting to pit road. That was going to be tricky. I didn't think it was going to happen to the first car coming on to pit road here.
Man, that was huge. He had so much speed. The transition and the stiff suspension these next-gen cars have just did not hold well for Chris Beck. And right there, Alan DeRonco, Lane Allen, the first 2 guys to get involved. And right in front of the 37 of Brian Dublé, just T-bones the side there of the 44 of Beck. And so 4 cars involved in that one. Huge wreck, though. That was the very first car. You said it. So now everybody else does not have to worry about what Chris Beck just did. That's going to probably knock out the 44 from this race tonight. That was just a massive wreck there.
Yeah, block out the 37 of Brian Dublé here as we look from an onboard shot on the roof cam here. You see coming up the racetrack, nowhere to go. And you see the 37 cannot see. It's so hard to see even from our view. And Jessica Stubblefield in the chat says, wow. And yeah, Jessica, I guarantee you we're probably thinking the same thing here in our brains. Wow. Never would have thought it would have been the first car. And look at the 41 there of Alan Crowell just barely getting by. I don't even think he touched Dublay's 37 machine. And if it was just by inches right there. And I mean inches, probably less than an inch here. As we're actually going to look at the 41 machine here, going to get an onboard shot. You're going to see piling up in front of them. Lots of guys swerving all over the place. Here we go, slow-mo. Great artwork or capturing here from our man Dustin. And here we go, right there's the 37. Doesn't even touch him by about a foot. Miss Brian Dublé, and that could have been a race-ending crash for Alan Crowell. So a lot of guys heads-up driving. A lot of guys not so heads-up. They're off 4, Jeremy.
Huge there for the 41 to not get involved in that. And while these guys get lined back up and get ready for this green flag, we're going to go back to our final double-stacked, double-stuffed video here with the commercial break. We'll be back after a few messages. And back to full screen coverage here as the teammates of Brody Hanna and Richie Coy for Motorsports are going to be starting in P1 and P2. Right behind them, though, a very hungry Nicholas Moreau. Let's see if he can get that long run a little bit more buttoned up. He did much better that third run there. But I think if one more tweak in that 15, he might have a solid chance here of competing for this race lead. A lot of the rest of the top 10 are also basically the same here. Lakian's moved up a couple spots. James Wallace has another good chance here starting in 5th. TJ Bartel, I think he's got a little sleeper here to get himself into the top 5 and run with his teammates. Let's see what he can't do here as we're waiting for this pace car to drop back in. We're going to be restarting on lap 122. So it's going to give everyone 46 laps left in this event before we find the checker flags here. Pace car is down, waiting for Mr. Patrick to throw the flag, and there it is. Great restart there by the 23 of Brody Hanna. Clears his teammate already, what seems to be the continuing trend here for the race leader to get a great start over second place. Coming off into turn 1 and 2, the 15 of Moreau gets a great bottom grip patch there through 1 and 2. Gets the 19 clear. The 19 now under fire from the number 7. It's going to drop Richie Coy quite a few spots here on this opening lap.
Yeah, Richie Coy going to drop back a little bit. Everybody, though, kind of double wide, 2 by 2 by 2, like a double stuffed Oreo. Here they come off turn number 4. The 15 of Moreau is right on the back bumper, dropping to the apron here off turn 4, heading to the start finish towards turn 1. Moreau all over Brody Hanna's back bumper, gets in a little bit harder than the 23 did off the corner, though. Brody Hanna been so stout on exit there. He'll have about half a car length between him and Nicholas Moreau as they work their way to turn number 2. As you see Wayne Grossi battling side by side with James Wallace heading into 4.
The goal for the 15 is just maintain the same pace as the 23 if he can, and if not, he's going to have to figure out a way to get this long run working for that machine. Moreau Motorsports usually has a really good short run car unless your name's Fred, which he's just good everywhere, but Nicholas Moreau seems to not have such a long run car each and every week. But if he could just maintain the 23's pace, save the tires a little bit, maybe that final adjustment that he made in pit road will give him that chance to run with Fury, run with Brody, especially here as we're now, within 45 laps having this race completed. James Wallace with a great restart. They're up to 3rd place, actually trying to attack the 15 of Moreau. Coming through turn 1, doesn't know if he wants to go higher, run behind him. Looks like he's going to run on his bumper all the way into the corner entrance here. Gives up turn 1, but gets a great launch off of turn 2. Jason, let's see what he can do through 3.
I think right there, Jeremy, he gave up anything there into 1 and 2. That outside lane has been where James Wallace has been absolutely ripping it all race long. He's been mired behind traffic all race long, hasn't really had the clean air to do anything and challenge for any sort of position when he's had nobody in front of him who hasn't been up on the top lane. But now Brody Hanna jumped to the top. He'll jump down to the bottom to cover Moreau. Wallace outside has the advantage here on Nicholas Moreau off the corner. They're going to be side by side. Moreau tried to side draft, wasn't enough. 67 is going to be clear heading into 3. He'll keep ripping that top lane, and I guarantee you, Jeremy, before you know it, that 67 is going to be right on the back bumper of the 23. And also, he brings in Troy Torgerson and also Ryan Hedrick, looking for a great run after he had a great run at Richmond a handful of weeks ago. He's looking to try to make his way into the top 5.
James Wallace always been so strong every time he gets a 4 fresh set of Oreos on that machine there as the 15 slides behind him now. But we got 5th place and 4th place, Wayne Grossi, and the 39 of Troy Torgerson side by side. It looks like that outside is continuing to prevail here as now all of a sudden the top 10, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, coming to the start finish line.
I tell you what, with the amount of lead changes and the amount of passes we had today, if I had one Oreo for every time we had a battle on the racetrack, I'd have about 100 Oreos. And here we go, Brody Hanna, James Wallace side by side for the race lead. Put another Oreo on my plate because James Wallace just took the race lead from Brody Hanna. Absolutely just flies by the Fury Motorsports number 23 Mustang. James Wallace and also Brody Hanna, 2 of the guys started in the rear of the field battling for the spot. And here comes Troy Torgerson outside of Hanna. That's the battle for second as they're into 1.
James Wallace somehow just found some speed here late in this race. He came down pit road, probably made a few changes to that car, and it is definitely showing. This is the first time we've seen him up front, and he clears the 23 by 5 car lengths entering 3 here. And where's Troy Torgerson coming from now? He's going to fight Brody Hanna here on the top side of the track. This is for position number 2. But the 23 Hanna does so well through turns 3 and 4 on the bottom, is able to continue to lead the 39 here through the front stretch, clears him. Going to be able to slide up in front of the 39, but still side by side all the way through the rest of the top 10. Excellent race here with 38 laps to go.
That 39, a few more laps, he might just get to the 67 machine. He's about getting closer to that outside wall colored icing safer barrier there. We're just going to keep on making all the Oreo puns in the world here, probably until the finish. But Troy Torgerson is ripping the top side with Ryan Hedrick behind him. And Hedrick actually might put Troy Torgerson 3 wide here. Torgerson slams the door entering turn number 1, though. That's going to hurt his momentum, get him a little bit loose. Here comes Hedrick looking to the middle lane here off turn number 2. Not enough. Torgerson able to keep that position as they work their way off 2 into 3. Everybody's chasing James Wallace and Brody Hanna, though, for the race lead.
Boomerang Motorsports holding the 67 and 47, both inside the top 5. This team has just all of a sudden propelled their way to the front. making wholesale changes along this entire race, and here they are showing what they're worth here late in this run. 39 to Torgerson continuing to run the wall. This is where his team has been running this entire time of RPM Motorsports. 15 in Moreau running the bottom where he feels the most comfortable. He just can't get the momentum off the corner. Looks like maybe 3 and 4 is a little bit stronger for him as Brody Hanna. This is his strong suit here. He runs the bottom of 3 and 4, able to clear the 39 once again. 39 or 15 just cannot get the run where he needs to. Now the 47 Hedrick's going to come back to the top of the 15, maybe run for 4th.
Tina Moreau slams the door on Hedrick, but he'll jump back down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Outside, though, besides James Wallace, right behind him, since he's the race leader, Torgerson, Hedrick. Also, you got, I believe that is Robert Malicki in there in the 22 machine. Also, Jeff Chandler, he's back up in the mix. They're all running the outside lane. And then TJ Bartel, the lone guy who's probably the furthest back up on the outside lane. Besides that, everybody's running the bottom, but it's still anybody's race here tonight.
It really is right now. We have no idea what Boomerang Motorsports looks like here inside the top 5. Will the 67 fall back in 15 or 20 laps when the tire wear comes into play? And does the 23 have what it takes to hold off these guys who are all of a sudden in the picture here? But still remaining 2 by 2. A lot of great racing side by side here at Kansas Speedway as we're approaching just 30 laps left in this race. They've still got a decent run. They have to still watch the tire wear. Of course, you don't want to kill your tires too early, but right now it is no hold bargs out here, and these guys are having all out. We got some 3 wide here, 22, 31, and the 11 coming off of turn 2. Contact with the 31 and the 11, still 3 wide until the 22 barely clears, but here we go, I got a wreck actually. The 15 and the 39 somehow, we got to go back and take a look at that replay, but it's going to the 11. Still getting sideways here. Straightens it out, but 2 cars initially bring out the caution for the 4th time here this evening.
Heavy hitters there, right there into turn number 3. We saw the battle between those 2 drivers, made contact down the back straightaway, then up ahead, the 15, the 39 had to have made contact entering turn number 3, which sent Troy Torgerson spinning towards the inside up on the apron, came back up. Don't believe he hit anybody because obviously that car is still driving with a full head of speed here, catching back up to the field, and the 15 hit the wall, heads up driving by the rest of everybody to avoid him, and then Tony Solari loose as well. He saved it. But as we take a look here at the Nerd TV race replay here, presented by Roasted Gems Coffee, you're going to see down the back straightaway 39, and wow, that we're going to have to take a look from another angle. I think the 15 either thought he was clear, Jeremy, or he tried to side draft the 39. And I mean, that 39 went around, spinning, did a complete 360, and he was able to get it back going. Heads up driving by Troy Torgerson in the 39 Chevy Camaro to not be collecting anybody else and to also save it there entering turn 3.
Yeah, whatever camera Dustin can come up with. We're going to try to watch the gloves or something on the 15 here. My camera angles as well say that he turned to the right. So it was just either a complete misjudgment of the 39's location around him or something a little bit more here as we're coming off of turn 2. You see the 39 clearly on the side here. Down the back stretch, you see that orange tape there on the wheel, and you might see it shift to the right. Actually, I don't know. Maybe just the side draft sucked him into the inside quarter panel of the 39. I didn't see that wheel moving as much as I thought, but the 15 definitely shifted lanes a little bit higher right into the side of the 39 because 39 was all up against that outside wall.
I mean, maybe we could try to get a look from turn 3 or from an overhead cam here. We'll have to see. As you see the 15 to 39 still battling side by side. This is a half a lap prior to the contact. They're obviously side by side entering 1. Torgerson had a very, very big run here off 2. You're going to see the 15 in Moreau start to slide up a little bit from the bottom. Is about half a car length. Now about a car length with off right there, the bottom. As you look right here, here's the contact. Perfect drone shot. 39 just running the 5th. Oh, yeah, man, the 15 just comes up. I honestly, from my perspective, if maybe the 15 finishes there, if he somehow, some way is able to come back through the field and finish in the top 3, he did pit. He is 20th on the board right now. But, I mean, personally, from my viewpoint, Jeremy, I think the 15 thought he was clear and probably just tried to fall in line there behind the 39. Because to be a side draft, that was way too much of an abrupt turn to the right there. I think he just thought he was clear.
It very well, because we don't see Nicholas Moreau in this kind of situation hardly ever. So it's probably just a mental judgment there, miscue. We're over 130 laps into this event. It's been a couple hours now at this point since they hopped in their cars for practice. So it could have been one of those situations where you just kind of misjudged it, you know. And in the chats here, we got some fan bases out there with some comments, and then Jessica saying that escalated quickly. Yeah, that came out of nowhere. It was just a complete side-by-side race there up until that point, and then now we're sitting here with our fourth caution this evening. And Jason, this is going to be our first little short run of the evening. We're going to come back to green flag, under 30 laps to go, probably about 28. This is the first time we're going to see a run that's under 30 laps in length. So you thought the last stint was good. Wait for this one.
Yeah, we're going to have to see right here. And actually, I believe Nicholas Moreau is off the racetrack completely. I don't think he is at all coming back on the racetrack. We heard our producer Dustin in our ear say, "Where's Moreau?" He is now 2 laps down. So either that was race-ending damage, or he's trying to get all the damage he can fix. And if my knowledge is correct, I don't believe the 15 Jeremy is competing for any kind of points or whatnot. I believe he's on a part-time schedule, if I'm correct. But that car looks to be done for the night, if I'm correct.
He actually has backed out of the server, so I'm not sure what the damage entailed. I mean, it looked like light contact on our end, but you never know. The rack and pinion system seems to be a little more fragile than the Gen 6 car was. So maybe there was a meatball somewhere mixed in, and, you know, with 8-minute required repair with under 30 laps left to go. And like you said, he is definitely not going for points. So with all that mixed in, you know, why continue the event, right? So the 15 has backed out of the event. This is going to open the doors for a couple more people to squeeze inside the top 5. That's where the 15 has been this entire event. Pace car is down. We're going to get the green flag here on lap 140 of scheduled 167. That's going to be 28 laps to go here. Let's see what this short run looks like. I think this is going to be one for the ages here for FTSR. A lot of different guys showing their face earlier. Boomerang Motorsports starting in second and third place here. Ryan Hedrick quickly moves up into second place there with CF slides in front of his teammate James Wallace, which he does so. It's going to bring the 19 of Richie Coy back to fourth. The 31 of Jeff Chandler gets a great run on the 7. The 7 actually checked up. I don't know if he made wall contact. He slides behind the 31 now. But you see Boomerang Motorsports up against the white wall. We're all riding this thing. Great launch by the 47. Huge check up in front of the, or behind the 23. 23 looks like he got loose. And this allows the 19 to go from 5th to 1st here.
Everybody right now flying around the virtual Kansas Speedway like it's a hornet's nest that just got broken up. And these are the Hornets trying to fly out of the nest, flying down the back straightaway. Everybody jockeying for position. Richie Coy able to get that lead there off turn number 2, or turn number 4, I should say. And that's brought Jeff Chandler as well into the picture. Where did he come from? From the front to the back, back to the front now. Call it reverse order. Jeff Chandler has a shot at this thing with just under 30 laps to go. He'll go to the bottom, but James Wallace and Ryan Hendrick, 2 guys who've been ripping the top side these last few laps, they're going to be digging. As you see the 31, he tried to slam the door. He thought about it, but it wasn't enough. James Wallace outside of the racetrack on the 31 machine. He'll bring Ryan Hendrick with him. Hendrick looks to the middle lane. Not going to be enough. Wallace still side by side for the second place here, coming to lap 143.
23 in a predicament he has not been since maybe 50 laps into this event. Oh, the 67 door slaps the 31 of Chandler there, but they're still side by side after that contact. That was pretty big contact. I'm surprised they didn't wreck there. Oh, and the 31 cuts off the 67 nose, puts him into the wall, and then the 67 hooks the 31, which spins Ryan Hedrick, the 47 innocent bystander there. As you see, the Jeff Chandler still stacking him up there on the outside wall, sandwiched into that outside wall through turns 3. The 47, the 31 involved in this one, and that all started with the 31 having some issues there through exit of turn 2 with the 67 of Wallace. So a little bit of heat a moment late in this race, bringing out the 5th Roasted Gems Coffee caution.
Man, huge right there, battling for the second place spot. You see the 31's wheel. The right front is practically about to come off right there inside the wheel well there. And that's really what caused it. He didn't mean to turn right and wasn't misjudging it. He knew the 47, everybody back behind him was there. that car just would not turn left. When that right front starts to give way, and I mean by the right front giving way, I don't mean tire cutting. I don't mean the fender gone. I don't mean that the air is losing pressure. I mean that thing just absolutely started to fall right there off the wheel well. Once he exited off turn 2, made that contact, and he just unfortunately turned Ryan Hedrick, who was having such a stellar night. And he unfortunately, Ryan Hedrick goes around here. But we're going to take a look again at the race replay. Here's what happened. Contact made. Bam. Door slamming it down into 1. That hit was about as hard as Oreo's hit at a late night snack probably. And you're going to see right here off turn number 2, 31 comes right up onto James Wallace. Hard contact for Wallace, hard contact for the 31. You see the right front fender go flying. Comes up the racetrack due to not being able to turn left. Clips the 47. Around he goes. Hannah from Fury Motorsports. Great job avoiding it. Grassi, fantastic job avoiding it. Malikian, he makes a little bit of contact. Bartel contact. Lots of guys. This could have been a massive pile up here, Jeremy, heading into 3.
Yeah, the 47 just going to kind of go around these guys as they made that contact. And then the 31 and the 67, after the 31 of Chandler smashed or dunked, rather, the 67 to the outside wall of turn 2. It looked like the 67 chased the 31 of Chandler up the racetrack, caused 3 wide, and since they were the 67 looked like was trying to chase him up the track, it kind of just left the 47 nowhere to go, but being hooked in the left rear quarter panels. We're going to get one more onboard camera here from the 31. Just boom, hits the wall dead on. 31 just clips the 47. 47 literally just trying to get around these guys as they made contact now at this point halfway around the track. And unfortunately, it hooks him. And the 47 Hedrick making multiple laps worth of racing here under pit road, getting his repairs made. 31 at Chandler. So Boomerang Motorsports, all of a sudden, both within the top 5, find themselves way outside the top 5 here.
Yeah, and that 31 right there, just honestly, unfortunately, lack of awareness there off turn number 2. Didn't think that the 67 was probably going to get as big of a run as he did. Thought he was going to clear him and just absolutely slammed the door on James Wallace. And James Wallace is probably going to be done for the night for sure. I mean, that's 1 lap down now on his end. Jeff Chandler's 2 laps down. I mean, there are a lot of guys who have had a lot of issues here tonight. We only have 17 cars on the lead lap out of the 27-car field we've had. And the first car a lap down is James Wallace. And Alan Crowell's the last car on the lead lap. So this is still anybody's race here, Jeremy. This is getting really, really good here. I mean, those Fury Motorsports guys, they've been super stout all night long. Wayne Grassi's been in the mix. Robert Malikian, he's still there. He's got a little bit of right side damage. TJ Bartel as well. And Tony Solari coming up through the field to try to join his Fury Motorsports teammates for the lead.
Yeah, the 23 Hannah was in a weird predicament, being just inside the top 5, even outside of it at one point after that restart. And then all of a sudden, with everyone getting involved in a wreck there, it brought the 23 back to P2. So now he's going to be starting on the top side of his teammate here. And now some other guys inside the top 5 for the first time, like TJ Bartel. He's going to be starting just to the inside of the third of 4 Fury Motorsports drivers. Tony Solari, the highest position this 11 car has been all race long. Started 20th. Going to be restarting this thing in 6th, so up 14 spots for that number 11 machine. 22 Malikian's going to be starting in 4th. I do believe this is his highest scored position so far this race in 4th. He's been running a pretty okay race. I don't know if he has exactly what it takes to get to the race lead, but putting himself in the best possible chance now. Back to the chats here. We've seen Jessica saying, full send, Tim. Steve Loomis, welcome to the chats, man, saying, here comes Curtis and Williford. They have their best chance right now, both inside the top 10. And Doyle, feel free to chat on your teammates as well, man. Feel free to do so. This is going to be one heck of an event here with 20 laps to go when the green flag flies here, when the pace car drops. So I expected that last stint to be very good, and it was drama-filled. Will we see more of the same, or will we see a lot of hard side-by-side racing? Time will tell with 20 laps. Green flag is out. The 19 dips it down below the white line with the 7 of Wayne Grassi with some tire spin. It's going to allow TJ Bartel to get around him. The number 4 of Chad Lang, the 11 of Tony Solari, all going to get around the number 7 here. The 3 wide through turns 1 and 2.
And the 19, he's going to slam the door right there on his teammate, working it into turns 1 and 2. You see, contact! Around goes the 11 of Solari off the front bumper of Wayne Grossi and the 4, and Solari almost saves it. Pancakes driver's side onto the inside, safer barrier, and the Roasted Gems caution flag is out again here at Kansas.
Man, another incident from the third guy on the top side of this pack, of this little 3-wide racing here, is the innocent bystander. This time the 7 and the 4 side slap. It looks like the 7 just kind of slid up a little bit higher into the 4 and then gets hooked, or the 11 gets hooked the same exact way the 47 did, sends him to the inside retaining wall there. Now the 11's got some damage to repair, and well, it doesn't look like much of it anyways. He does door slap it there, but thankfully his direct side contact. I think his car might be okay, but he's got a tall task here, going to be restarting in 17th.
Yeah, that was a really unfortunate circumstance right there for a lot of those guys. Doesn't look like there's much damage on the 4 machine, but there is a lot of right front damage on the 7. And I actually stand corrected. That 4 is coming in. I see the right front. It's crumpled in just a little bit. Unfortunate night for Chad Lang, the Talladega winner from just a few weeks ago with the throwback 2000 Winston Noble 500 paint scheme that Dale Earnhardt won. Tonight he's got the Oreo colors, and I don't think that Chad Lang is going to be celebrating with some Oreos and milk here after this one, because that car is probably going to be destroyed and will not contend for the win. Interesting, though, Jeremy, Wayne Grossi, he knows 18 laps to go, man. I can't pit. I got what it is right now, and there's a lot of damage actually on the right side of that Shell Pennzoil machine. So interesting to see that the 4 came in, but the 7 didn't.
Yeah, we're coming down here to where these guys want to try some strategy late in the going, as you see the 14 going around. This is the first time we're announcing it, but the hashtag Get a Grip Martin Sports Lucky Dog Award goes to the 14 of Lane Allen. Get yourself your lap back, man. This should put you back on the lead lap, if I'm not mistaken. No, he's multiple laps down. I apologize. So he's going to move him, I think, up to 8th. But he was the first car not involved in an incident whatsoever. He's going to get his lap back. So 8 laps is better than 9 laps down, and it puts him now 4 laps separating between him and the next guy. So I think this is going to solidify his position there in 20th place, as we got just over a lap left before we're going to go back to green flag with about maybe 7 or 16 to go.
Yeah, we'll have to see right here. Pace car still has the lights on, so we're realistically going to be going green here, Jeremy, with under 15 laps to go. So this is going to be an absolute shootout, and I've noticed, too, I believe these guys, they had to have taken every set of tires that they've had here, because obviously nobody's coming to pit, but we really also haven't really run that long of a distance yet. But these guys, they have what it is now, man. There's no pit and there's no coming in. You got what you got right now, and if you're Richie Coy and Brody Hanna, your best goal is to battle it clean, hard. They're good friends. They're teammates. They're battling for the championship here. Obviously, next week, Darlington, final race of Season A here. And obviously, that 19 machine leading over the 23 by just 28 points. So if something happens to Richie Coy and Brody Hanna somehow, some way is able to take this win away from Richie and the rest of the field, that could be huge for not only Richie Coy, but Brody Hanna as well. That will be able to enable Brody to close the gap in, Jeremy, on Richie Coy if something does happen to Richie. So he's got to drive very, very smart here for these next 16 laps.
Yeah, play it smart for sure here, and this is really setting up a great race for the end. The storylines are building up here for the end. We're getting a lot of drama late in this race, and then you're going to head over to a track like Darlington, which is already tough to race by yourself, and then you're going to have to do it with an awesome group of racers here at FTSR. You know, some people might just save their emotions for next week, or some might go up to the number 1 car like Noah Gragson did and say, hey, what's going on, man, and take one to the chin. But with being 15 or less laps to go in this restart, I mentioned it last restart. Are we going to see more of the same, or are we going to see a really hard-fought battle here? The way this is going, it's anyone's game right now. The same 2 cars started first and second last time, and I think right now, Jason, The 30 of TJ Bartel, I think, is going to have one of the best chances. We've seen his teammates just countlessly being inside the top 5, being super strong. This is the first time the 30 gets to show his muscle going to start in the row number 2. I think you're going to watch out for him, and is also the 33 of Sherwood Williford, the best he's been. I think he's going to have a great chance.
Yeah, there's a few guys too, and also Tony Solari, he's got damage too, but he's got fresher tires by just a little bit, so maybe he's going to be able to try to make a run. Chad Lang as well, Alan Crowell. This is still anybody's race here, but these Fury Motorsports guys, they got to get up on the saddle, and they got to dig, baby, because you got 15 to go. It's lights out, man. They got to go really, really hard here for the finish.
Dump all the Oreos into the bowl here. 14 laps to go on this restart. The 19 is actually going to clear his teammate 23. The 23 is going to dip below real quick there just before the 22 of Malikian gets to the inside of the 23. It's going to lock in Fury Motorsports 1 and 2 here. 22 Malikian gets really tight off a corner exit. It's going to allow the 7 of Wayne Grassi here to the inside. He's going to challenge for podium position, 3rd place right now. There's a lot of these guys in the back here running up to the top, trying to get all the momentum possible coming off of 4.
What, Jeremy, if I were Brody Hanna right now, just see them, everybody's so squirrely off 4, heading down the front straightaway into 1. If I'm Brody Hanna, I'm not racing the 19 like he's my teammate and taking care of him. I'm racing him like he's anybody else right now. And we've talked to Brody Hanna and Richie Coy. And in fact, it was Brody when he won, I believe it was a handful of weeks ago, whether it be in the Martin Sports Truck Series or here in the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series. He says, hey, you know, me and Richie, we're good buddies. We're teammates. We work stuff out. We work together. But we both know when it comes down to the end, gloves are off. We're racing, but we're still going to race with respect. Man, a title's on the line. Go after that thing, man. But look at this. Malikian, outside of Brody Hanna, he could upset the Fury Motorsports drivers here tonight. Robert Malikian flying up on that outside lane, trying to get around Hanna as they work their way into 3.
Long run out the window here. 13 laps to go. 12 at the line. The 22 of Robert. Definitely trying everything he can at this point to lock himself into this top 3 podium position, or even better. But the 30 of TJ Bartel all over him now, as everybody else trying to find the lane. Like, you know where your car's best at this point, so you just got to find the lane. As long as it's open, take it. The 30 Bartel just gets a little loose and 1 that time, has to check up. The 22 is really strong off of turn 2, gets right to the back bumper once again of Brody Hanna. Just has to run to the top there, where Brody's been so strong in 3 and 4 is on that bottom lane. But this time the 22 is going to have a great run. He's going to get side by side now with Fury Motorsports driver Brody Hanna.
Yeah, he might just be able to have enough momentum once he gets off 2 if he has a stellar 1 and 2 to get to the outside of Richie Coy. He's loose entering 1, but he's still digging in that number 22 Ford Mustang. He's going to get around the 23. He's going to clear him, and he's going to have enough momentum. He's going to challenge for the lead. The 22 side, the 19 takes the air away from the 22, drifts down the racetrack. Malikian outside, battle for the lead here in the late stages of Kansas. 10 laps to go. It's Malikian versus the 2 Fury Motorsports drivers up at the front. It's Ford versus another Ford up at the front heading into 2.
The only elevated esports driver, Robert Malikian, inside the top 10, and he is trying to get one for his team. Onto the back bumper, the 19. Will the 19 go low? He will. The 22 remains on the top here. Let's see what he can do turns 3 and 4 this time. He had such a great launch last lap. Comes off the corner. He's going to get the same launch this time. Going to stay onto the top side of the track as everyone's scattering around there on the back, or on the front stretch here, headed to 1.
I think the 22 right there, he was going to go to the bottom. The 19 decided to slam the door, thinking that Malikian was going to go to the bottom, but the 22 went to the outside of the tri-oval. That might just be the sweet move of the race right there, like an Oreo. Malikian, front of the field. He goes to the race lead, but not just yet. Richie Coy battling. And look at this. Where did Joshua Johnson come from? A guy who was in the grass a handful of laps ago. And Troy Torgerson, a guy who was turned on a handful of laps ago. I said for him to look out for him. He is battling. Oh my goodness, Jeremy. 8 laps to go. This is looking like a mini Talladega, Atlanta, Daytona type mile-and-a-half race without the aero package. And Malikian is trying everything he can do to hold off the field. As they're 3 wide for second off turn 4.
This is huge here for the 22 as they're getting all racy right behind him. He is separated about 4 or 5 car lengths over the 19 of Richie Coy. Everyone's got their qualifying setups essentially slapped on these cars here as we're just under 10 laps to go. Currently 7 left in this race. And yeah, it is just side by side. There's been, I think, a double digits amount of lead changes in this event here. Been super racy all race long here. Almost 3 wide here to turn 3 as Michael Blackner almost makes contact with the 57 there on the top side of turn 3. Still 3 by 3. 87 has to slide in behind the 57. 57 had a short burst of speed but drops back just outside the top 5 here.
I tell you what, Jeremy, if Troy Torgerson right here can get around Richie Coy up on the outside of the racetrack like he's been doing to most drivers all night long, I think Torgerson is going to have a chance to the outside of Coy. He's going to clear him going into 3. Troy Torgerson, he's still going to battle, though, with the 19, but off turn number 4, I think Torgerson is going to have enough momentum to clear the 19 and set his sights here on Malikian. Coming down, 5 laps to go. Torgerson clears the 19. The 2 Fury Motorsport drivers are out of the picture unless something happens. Torgerson, from being spun out on the back straightaway a handful of laps ago, he is running down the race leader. Oh, and by the way, he's got fresher tires. Or actually, no, he doesn't. He's on the same set of tires as the 22 machine. He's battling for the lead this time by coming to 4 laps to go. It's still anybody's race here at Kansas.
Fury Motorsports is the only 2 guys really inside the top 5 running the bottom half of the racetrack. I almost feel like they need to move up, especially in turns 1 and 2. They lose such amount of speed on corner exit. You're going to see the 57 make a great run through here once again as you're on board, or at least with the camera angle. The 39 Torgerson still about 2 car lengths away from the race leader, Robert Malikian. As we cycle back to the 39 and the 22 here. 39, the closest he's been all race long to this race lead. He can smell it. He can taste it. Coming to the line. 3 laps to go.
3 laps to go, and Torgerson is all over the back bumper of the 22. He wants the Oreos, and here they go outside of the racetrack. Oh, we got a wreck in the back. The 87 around Michael Blackner. Take the big battle. Throw it out the window. Blackner goes around. And also TJ Bartel, I believe, as well. Other drivers collected here in the middle of 1 and 2, and that's going to bring out another Roasted Gems Coffee caution flag here at Kansas.
This will bring you guys to a first of 3 green-white checkered attempts. Here's the 87 of Michael Blackner. We see him get a little bit before that shot there. Bounced off the entrance of turn 1, which has been devastating for quite a few drivers. And the 30 of Bartel just could not avoid him in time. Checks up, but it's not enough. And it's going to spin across the nose of TJ Bartel. 2 cars around, and then the 30 came down under the 98 of Chris Curtis. Brings 3 cars involved in this wreck here.
Well, man, if this race couldn't get racier enough, it's about to... The bats are about to come flying out of hell. That's all I got to say right there. You just see it, 87 outside, 30's trying to look low, 87 tries to slam the door. Unfortunately, TJ Bartel and the 87 of Michael Blackner go around, 1 in the wall, 1 going around, full 360. Good job, though, by, I believe that was Sherwood Wilford. He made it around. You see Chris Curtis, he gets involved. Ryan Chapman narrowly escapes that one right there in the 27 Ford Mustang. Great heads-up driving by some guys. Some guys, unfortunate victims of something that was not of their doing. And now, Jeremy, this is going to bring us to an overtime finish, man. I can't believe we're going to see this one play out, and I can't wait to see who comes out on top because it is still anybody's race.
I'm not saying to watch out for somebody, but the number 12 is Timothy Stubblefield, the first car to dip down pit road. He was 14th when he came in. He's going to have probably 5+ laps fresher tire than everybody else, to maybe 10 laps fresher tires. So, that being said, I know it's only 3 laps, or going to be a green-white check or 2 laps, but with the amount of racing that we saw, and now the sun is back out, this 12 has a good chance of picking up multiple positions here, and if there's a second green-white attempt, I'd be careful of this 12 car getting inside the top 5 here, but you got to feel for the 22. This has been his best chance to win all season long. He's going to add his name to the win column list with just a handful of laps left, and then that is thrown out the window. He has to work very hard to keep the 39, the 19, the 23, who have been really good on restarts behind him. But if he can get to the top part of the track and get his tires gripped up well, he's going to put himself still in a great chance.
Yeah, and I mean, this would be such a great story for Robert Malikian here to get this race win here after basically the dominant performance by the Fury Motorsport drivers, who are 1-2 in the points, battling for the Season 8 title. And I believe they're also battling for the Season 8 title in the Martin Sports Truck Series, which is on Wednesday nights. And I mean, this would be such a great story for Robert if he were able to finally get this done. We talked about, how this is really, hasn't really had a chance most of the time all season. I mean, he's been in the mix, but hasn't really been able to close the deal. And this is really a great opportunity for him to do that there in that number 22 Ford Mustang. But also a couple guys I want to point out too. They have a little bit fresher tires, some damage, but obviously fresh tires matter here. You talk about Timothy Stubblefield, TJ Bartel. They also have some fresh tires, but they have some more damage. Alan Crowell as well. Wow, I can't believe I said that. Crowell. Anyways, Chad Lang, lap 149. He came into the pits as well. He fixed some damage a little bit. He has a little bit fresher tires. And Tony Solari, who slapped the inside retaining wall after being spun out down the back straightaway, he is up to 7th. I want to say if there's anybody who probably has a really good shot at this, it's probably going to be Timothy Stubblefield, but don't count out Tony Solari. Yeah, his tires are only a little bit fresher than the field in front of him. He's got some damage, but it could still play a factor. And Timothy Stubblefield, he's going to have to drive like a bat out of hell here if he wants to try to get this race win.
Yeah, that's 11 of Tony Solari. Remember about 20 laps ago at most, slapped the inside wall there. He squared it up, though. It was direct side impact, nothing at an angle, so it didn't break anything. It just had some fender damage. These composite bodies are a lot more durable, so they're able just to beat out the fender a little bit, provide that downforce to that 11, and he's still floating inside the top 10. They're going to be restarting in 7th place here. And when I mentioned Timothy Stubblefield about his late pit stop, of course, we see Jessica with the eyeball emoji saying, hey, watch out for my driver there. Let's see what he can do in that blacked out machine. Love those color combinations there with the gray and black. All flat black mixed up. I love that skin. It looks great. Let's see what he can do, Jason. Here as we got our first of 3 attempts at a green-white checker. We have seen a couple cautions happen within the restart period. So will this be our only green-white attempt, or are we going to see some more action? We're about to find out here. Pace car is going below the white line now. Let's see if the 22 cannot have any tire spin. That's going to be the next thing to watch out for. Waiting for Patrick to throw the flag. Green flag is out here. Tire spin from both the 39 and the 22. At least some hesitation anyways. The 19 had a great restart, had a checkup, so he didn't get a penalty. They're going to be 2 by 2 by 2 coming through turns 1 and 2 here. The 22 does clear the 39. The 19 with a great launch gets to the inside of Robert Malikian. Coming through the backstretch here. Dead heat for the race lead.
And the 19 of Richie Coy side by side for the race lead here with Malikian. He's going to get up and into the wall.
No.
Up and into the wall. And Richie Coy is going to go all the way to the front of the field, bringing Joshua Johnson and also Troy Torgerson to the line. White flag is out. 1 lap to go at Kansas. Richie Coy, which could have been a race-ending moment just a handful of laps ago. It's played all into his hands here. He's got the field side by side behind him. Troy Torgerson's going to have to throw the kitchen sink at him into 3 if he wants this win.
Coming to 3 and 4 for the final time. Heartbreak for Robert Malikian here, but it's going to make the smiles happen across the 19 team. Richie Coy's going to bring home the checker flag for the first time this season as they pile him up big time on the front stretch. Richie Coy locks in the championship 2023A trophy in his camp. Job well done. That's going to be your Martin Sports winning moment there. Locks it in. Big wreck in the back, though. The heartbreak of Robert Malikian. Had the best chance, and then a wreck, and then it puts himself into the wall. Just brings him back there, finishes in 6th place. You see the onslaught here, 3 wide, all the way to the back half, and there's the 30, the 98, 33 gets involved there. I think another driver did as well. Scatters everywhere. 37 almost clobbers, but that's after the line. It doesn't matter there, but man, what a finish.
Huh. I have no words. I mean, what could have been for Robert Malikian and the 22 machine just unfortunately got a little too high too early. And I mean, he's not a bridesmaid, but he's definitely heartbroken here after tonight, because Robert could have probably had that race won right there. He had the momentum. He had the outside. Would have been able to drive off the corner. It would have been hard to defend Richie Coy, Troy Torgerson, and Brody Hanna. But unfortunately, he's just going to have to walk away with his head held high and try to move on to the next one, which is Darlington next week, and also moving into Season B as well, if he continues to participate as well. But Richie Coy able to reclaim what was rightfully his earlier on in the race between him and Brody Hanna, and Richie Coy plays right into his favor, folds right into his lap as he does the Alan Kowicki Polish victory lap. Love to see that. My favorite driver, Ryan Blaney, does that after every race usually. Love to see it. It's one of my favorite things, and I love to see these guys burn it down. But Richie Coy, man, what a stellar night. It's not like Richie Coy didn't deserve this. Even though it played into his hands right there, heading into 3, coming into the white flag. I mean, Richie Coy led a lot of laps tonight, and he was one of the top 2, if not the best car all night long. So this is a very deserving win for the Fury Motorsports driver here tonight. And also, this is going to help him in the points to just extend his gap over Brody Hanna by just a little bit.
Yeah, to imagine this is Richie Coy's first win of the season, and he's been your points leader for how long? And he locks in the championship, at least for the A part of the season. So, that being said, we're going to go over the unofficial results here tonight. Richie Coy obviously going to bring it home. P1, Troy Torgerson to 39, second place. Brody Hanna's going to finish third. Tony Solari brings it home in fourth after getting wrecked out almost entirely 20 laps prior. Joshua Johnson, fifth. Robert Malikian, sixth. Ryan Hedrick, seventh. Chad Lang, eighth. Wayne Grossi, ninth. And tonight's top 10 driver, Luis Melgan.
Yeah, and then your top 20, TJ Bartel comes home 11th after some damage earlier on. Later in the going, Sherwood Williford as well comes home 12th. Michael Blackner, after going around causing that overtime finish, he comes home in the top 15 and 13th. Ryan Chapman, 14th. Timothy Stubblefield, just not enough to drive it through the field. He comes home 15th. Alan Crowell, 16th. Chris Curtis, 17th. Lane Allen comes home 18th. Brian Dublé, 19th. And James Wallace, what could have been, which really could be said for a lot of drivers here tonight, Jeremy. James Wallace comes home in the 20th position.
21st, Jeff Chandler. 22nd place, Nicholas Moreau. 23rd, Justin Diltz. 24th, Chris Beck. 25th, Alan Duranco. 26th, Colton Gum. And Stephen Lou Allen rounds out the field of 27 drivers here for this Kansas 250 Cup race. But we're going to take it to full screen commercial break, gather our top 3 up, and we'll be right back with you guys shortly. And welcome back to the Martin Sports Post-Race Show, where we're going to bring in the top 3 here to talk to them about tonight's crazy Kansas 250 here. First and foremost, we're going to bring in the number 23 of Brody Hanna in the Sim Racing Points Ford Mustang. Mr. Brody, do you have a copy?
I got you guys.
Brody, what a crazy race, man. At one point, well, first off, starting 25th, and then by lap 55, I think you were up front leading the race, and your car just looked like it had the best setup underneath it imaginable, right? And then some cautions happened, and all of a sudden it looked like the track changed, the sun came out. You kind of faltered a little bit, fell back inside the top five, or outside the top five, rather. And then just a bunch of cautions and some craziness happened, and you're able to bring it home in third place. Walk us through your race tonight.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy night for sure. There's a lot going on. The car was mine was really good on the short run, and Richie was good on the long run. And we kind of knew that coming in, that we had different strengths and weaknesses. But yeah, I mean the car was solid. It was really good through the short to middle run, and then fell off a little bit on the long run. Got a little too tight, but yeah, it was some crazy racing out there for sure. Didn't want to start in the back, but had a little issue in qualifying, and yeah, so made for a long night, but we got it there pretty quick and was able to kind of race for it.
Yeah, Brody, you did a really good job, man. You guys put on one hell of a show here tonight. For us up in the booth, you guys on track, and also the fans watching at home on social media. But also, I just want to ask you, you talked about you and Richie. You guys had short run, long run speed. And obviously, with the multi-groove effect, I was saying it during the race, you looked very, very strong on the bottom, especially through the center off exit. Was that your strong suit here tonight? Was your car primarily a bottom car rather than a top?
Yeah, it had to be the bottom. I tried to run the top a couple times. I could not rip the top to save my life. With the way the setup was, it was just too tight to run up there. So we had to run the bottom. And I knew on that last restart, starting on the outside, it was going to be tough. There was a couple of restarts I was able to get to the bottom quickly and kind of resolve that. But this last restart, I didn't quite have room in front of the 57, so I had to run the middle. I knew at that point I was somewhat screwed as far as going for the win, just because there was no way I was going to get where my car needed to be and race for it. I know Richie was strong too. So really, I think between me and Richie, whoever started at the bottom was going to have the best shot, and he was able to take it home. So that's a good job for him. And I got to give a shout out to Tony Solari too in the 11, coming home fourth. Good rebound for him after having an accident early. Got those tires and was able to burn through the field too.
Yeah, tank slapped the wall on the inside, only had to pull out the fender. The carbon composite body really did him well in that situation. So great job by all of Fury Motorsports, really. Yeah, I was actually shouting out that you need to jump up to the top to contend with Robert Maliki in there and Troy Torgerson, because that car off turn 2 especially just was not hooking up. But then that last caution there with Torgerson and I think it was Blackner really just kind of reset that race for you and brought it home into third place. So congratulations, man. The whole team did very well late in the going there. So floor is yours before we let you go. Final thoughts tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, if I'd have jumped to the top, it would have been a straight up block. I mean, there was no way I could carry the speed those guys were carrying up top. So we were just plugging along and hoping to get a little bit of a longer run where the bottom would come back in and would kind of equalize with the guys that were running the top. Never really happened. So we salvaged what we could and came home third. Got to thank you guys, Nerditudes, for the broadcast as always. You guys do a great job. Got to thank Martin Sports, who sponsors the truck series and does a lot for the series. And speaking of, got to give a shout out because next week for trucks and for Cup, anybody that's watching, make sure to check out the throwback paint schemes. We've got a cool contest going on where those guys are going to have the broadcasters are going to vote on the best shirt or the best paint scheme, and they're going to get a customized shirt with that paint scheme on it. So it's going to be really cool for next week for trucks and Cup. Got to thank everybody in the league. All the drivers did a great job tonight. Had a great race. And got to thank Mach-1 Performance for sponsoring the series. And, of course, the team, Fury Motorsports, for the work we do with the setups. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, week in and week out, just continuing to be a class of the field for sure. And, yeah, next week, I can't wait for custom paint schemes. I love one-off schemes. And so for this race, to end the 2023 A season, too, it's going to be awesome to watch. But, Brody, congratulations once again. And we'll let you go for this evening.
Hey, thanks, guys. Preview. I got a sweet car coming up next week. I'll just leave you with that.
I cannot wait to see it.
I believe you.
And that was the 23 and the Sim Racing Points Ford Mustang. There are Brody Hanna. Now time to bring in second place finisher and the Abruzzi Racewear Chevrolet Camaro, Mr. Troy Torgerson. Do you have a copy?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. This RPM Motorsports team has just really stepped up their game, and you, especially running inside the top five, basically all race long, running right up against the outside wall there. Um, just doing an excellent job maintaining. Had a couple times where you got shuffled outside the top five, but able to bring it back in real quick. Walk us through your night tonight.
We had a great qualifying lap. We got started on the front row there and got to lead a lap or whatever. Pretty good. And then I didn't want to run it that hard and just getting eaten up there. So I figured I'd let a few of them go there and just run in top 10. Then we picked off a couple in the stage. We got a couple of them back and finished second to Richie there. What a run he had. Boy, that Furry Motorsports cars were blistering fast tonight. And then got together with the 15 there with about 30 to go or whatever, and got spun around and got the damage fixed and found some holes to come back up through the field.
Yeah, Troy, congratulations on coming back to second, man, because we really did think that you weren't going to be able to come back. But a lot of guys who did have damage tonight due to the lap down cars and the amount of wrecks we had in the second half of the race, they were able to come back. Like you, Chad Lang, Sherwood came back a little bit. He came in 12th. But you, man, right there coming off to you and Nicholas made some contact. And from my point of view, from what we saw from the drone cam, it looked like Nick either – I don't know if he was trying to side draft you, but from what I thought, it looked like he was just trying to tuck in line. Thought he was clear, and he unfortunately just clipped you in the left rear. Did you talk to Nick at all, or what happened from your perspective in general?
We were running pretty hard there, coming, a couple of laps there, several laps. Well, most of the race, there's plenty of times there we raced side by side there. Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of strange because it was halfway down the backstretch, and I don't know if, like you said, if he thought he was clear or what. I felt like I was holding my line, so I don't know. I have to take another look at the replay. A teammate looked at it and said that he came up, but it's tough racing. I mean, God, we were closer coming off of turns 2 and 4 than anything. I mean, I don't know how many times the incident thing popped up with the 0X from door banging, but had a lot of fun tonight. It was a fun race, good Kansas race. You were able to get side by side, and yeah, like you said, I was able to rip the top there pretty good tonight.
Yeah, it was double-digit lead lap changes or lead position changes, and then probably over 100 different passes just throughout the entire field. Multiple 3 wides, tons of 2 wide racing. It was just an excellent race here at Kansas. Floor is yours, man. Final thoughts before we let you go this evening.
Yeah, thanks. I got to thank RPM Motorsports again, man. We're having a lot of fun out here. We're starting to pick up the pace a little bit, and it's good to be here. Back-to-back podiums. That's great. Got to thank Doyle Lawrence for the skin on the car again. He's great. He does wonderful jobs. I think he does a couple of the Coke cars, and he's a great guy, man. He does very quality work. Really appreciate that. I'm gonna say it right. Thanks to Nerd TV tonight, man. You guys do a good job. Brody and the gang and all the admins here at FTSR. I really appreciate it, and I really like running here. I really like what's going on. So thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, appreciate all the words. And Doyle was in the chat saying he's got some really cool skins for next week coming up at Darlington. So I am definitely looking forward to seeing those one-off skins, the throwback paint schemes to close out the 2023 A season. Maybe, Troy, we'll be talking to you after Darlington. Who knows? But congratulations on the second place finish tonight, and we'll see you at Darlington.
Fantastic. You guys keep it going straight.
Will do, man. And those second place finisher there in the Abruzzi Racewear Chevrolet Camaro, Troy Torgerson. And now for the first time, your points leader in 2023 A Championship, who wins his first race and the championship on the same night, Mr. Richie Coy. How's it going over there?
What's up, nerds? What a race.
What a race. I think there are at least 10 lead changes officially and hundreds of passes. I was just telling with Troy there and Jason, it's just a bunch of side-by-side action. One of the most impressive races I've seen in quite some time from a league race. And man, you guys not let down. You had a roller coaster of a race as well. Same question to you.
It was all part of the plan. It was all part of the plan.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah. It was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead with your question. I kind of cut you off there.
No, I was just Same question I asked the other two guys. Just walk us through your night because everyone just had a roller coaster race. So I just want to get the emotions and thoughts of tonight's race.
I mean, honestly, really, most of it really did go part of the plan. Part of the plan was just we were set up to run the bottom. We figured the bottom would be good on the long run. We figured we'd get a couple of long runs, and that's what I did for the first stint. And we were able to get up to the lead for the stage win, and then that was, on the starts, everybody gets them new tire muscles and tries to blast to the front. So I was like, "Have at her, boys," and I'll get you in a little bit when my tires come back. Your tires go away, and 15 laps, 20 laps in, here we go back to the front again. It did get quite a bit hectic back there. I don't know how I got through that incident with Moreau and Grassi. That was hair raising. I had a incident with Brody on the restart where his car got tight underneath me. So it wasn't it definitely wasn't straightforward, but most of it went to the plan. And then we got short runs, which I knew they were going to kill us on the short run. And it was what it was. I mean, I was like, all right, we're going to be third. And then that caution came out and I had to restart my life there.
Yeah, Richie, I was just going to ask you about you and Brody nearly making contact, you doing a hell of a job to keep it outside, out of the wall on the outside, because we thought you guys were going to stack up the field right there. But besides that, obviously you talked about you guys weren't really a short run, but you guys worked together. You and Brody both letting each other in line, running that bottom lane, because I asked Brody, I said, hey, were you a bottom or a top guy? You seemed very dominant on the bottom. You guys both answered my question. And then obviously that final restart came about. Robert outside, entering 3, got up into the wall. Heartbreak for him. I'm sure his time's coming for him. He had a really strong run there against you guys over at Fury here late in the going. What was going through your mind there entering 3 when you saw the 22 up into the wall?
Well, I mean, he had definitely the great strategy there, and kudos to him for being in the position there at the end to almost win that race. He did a fantastic job. That restart came out, and I got through the gears really good, and I got down through 1, and coming out of 2, he started to slide up and gave me just enough room where I didn't need to lift, and I just kept my foot in it. So I got under him going down the backstretch, and honestly, I didn't see he got into the wall until I was already by him, because I was focused on trying to get through the corner as good as I could. And when I looked up and I saw I had such a big gap behind me, let's just say there was some hooting and hollering going on in the car.
Oh, I believe it, man. I believe that for sure. It's amazing how this is the first time we've seen you in the Mach-1 Performance victory lane. As your points leader this entire time, I thought maybe you're going to be one of those guys who never got a win and still wins the little Season 8 championship trophy, but you did it. Second to last race. What's your thoughts going into Darlington now with everything locked up?
Well, I don't know if it's actually locked up because there's a total of 52 points that you can get, but I guess it also matters about how many guys show up. So it's I don't think it's a lock yet, but
Okay.
it's
looking good.
Close.
Yeah,
Looking very good.
yeah, it's looking good for it, which honestly takes a lot of pressure off because Darlington is a pressure-filled track as it is anyway. So we're gonna go in. We have the Martin Sports throwback contest. I think Brody brought that up before. So we're going with Cousin Carl.
There we go.
We're going to run Cousin Carl with the trucks, his 2006 Super Chips truck, and then we're going Office Depot in the Cup car. So we're going to go try to have some fun with it. Try not to get our Darlington stripe, which we usually end up getting 2 or 3 of them anyway. And yeah, honestly, we've been running good all year long, but the competition this year between Troy and Jeff Chandler and even Wayne Grassi has been running up front every week. You got Nicholas and Fred and Brody. Tony's run good, and then a whole bunch of other guys that have been running up front. It's been a really hard season. So to get this one, I just telling Brody, I think this might be a highlight win for me. I mean, this is one I'm going to look back on and be like, I can't believe I won that race.
Yeah, it was a great race for the ages here for the FTSR, and great choice there with Cousin Carl. That's been my favorite driver during basically his whole entire NASCAR career. So I'm going to be extra cheering you on just because of those skins out there on the track. But yeah, congratulations once again, man, on your first victory of the season. And go and celebrate this one. You deserved it. And we'll catch you at Darlington.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
again.
And that was Richie Coy there Racer of the DeWalt Ford Mustang, bringing it home to the victory lane for the first time. And Jason, give me your final thoughts of tonight's race at the Kansas 250. As he's
That one deserves a beer. That one deserves a beer. That was a hell of a race. These guys over at the FTSR Mach-1 Performance Cup Series and also the Truck Series too, they always put on a show. But by far, since I've been calling the races here for the FTSR on Nerd TV, that was probably one of my favorite races to call. By far, multi-groove. I mean, we thought this track was going to have a lot of grip. We thought that it was, at least in my perspective, it was going to have a lot of grip. There wasn't going to be as much slip and slide, and maybe multi-groove racing wasn't going to be the best because there wasn't so much heat bearing down on the racetrack. But we got the complete opposite of what I thought. What a job. Heartbreak for Robert Malicki in there. That was his race to win. An unfortunate driver error there, entering 3 too high, gets up into the wall, man. Richie Coy, though, I can't believe that's his first win of the season here in the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series. I mean, for all three of us, you would have thought that, and especially if you're a first-time viewer, you would have thought, because we talked about him so much and how strong he is in both the trucks and the Cup Series, you would have thought, oh, man, Richie Coy, point leader by 28 points. He's got to have a few wins this year. And it's his first win of the year. And he didn't even get it from dominating the last 2 laps. He got it from a driver error. It was able to sneak through on the bottom. And these guys put on a hell of a show here tonight. It was anybody's race to win. It just so happened to fall right back onto the lap of Richie Coy here tonight. And, man, cheers to that one because that was a good race.
Dustin, they kept you busy there in the second half of the race. How you doing over there?
They did. I tell you what, I said it before this race even started, that these 1.5-milers, if you catch that diamond in the rough, that gem, man, it puts on a hell of a show. And all I can say is, what happened? I mean, the excitement, the 3-wide race, and the action, the heartbreak. I mean, this track had everything of a making of a major motion picture drama all the way through. I mean, I was rooting for Malikian all the way through. It was his race. Heartbreak to see that, the last-ditch effort on the bottom for the 19 of Coy. It's always good to see him win as well. The tough break that we've seen with the 67 of Wallace. I mean, there was excitement. There was, happiness. There was joy. There was upset. There was anger. I mean, you had every emotion possible, in this track. So, I mean, it was good racing all the way around. But Kansas is now in the rearview mirror. We're moving on to Darlington. What a track to end the 2023 A season on. Darlington, of all places, going to be an awesome show. The lady in black, there's going to be some stripes earned, quite a few of them earned, and there's going to be some kick-ass paint jobs, both in the trucks and the Cup Series in the coming weeks.
I don't know how you top this race tonight, but with the custom paint schemes for the throwbacks and just the storyline built up to the end, they're going to put on a good show. Will it be better than Kansas? I don't know. Like I said, it's going to be tough, but we're going to find out 1 week from tonight for the Cup Series. But this is our time to bring the close to the Nerd TV broadcast for the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series. Thank our sponsors one last time before we close it out completely. Join FTSR. You saw this is the lowest amount of cars they had, and they still had 27 cars in this race. So if you want to be part of this action to completely fill up this field, go to FTSR.net. Mach-1 Performance Cup Series sponsor every single Monday night here. They produce champions and winners across of all sorts of racing divisions. Find them on Facebook at facebook.com/Mach-1 Performance. Sim Racing Points, your all-inclusive league points management system that allows you to completely track your stats and more with one simple upload. Find them at simracingpoints.com. Martin Sports, top quality apparel to make you look stylish and feel comfortable. See their whole apparel lineup at martinsports.gg. iRacing iFlag, get your notifications fractions of a second faster without ever leaving your focus from the racing action. And you're going to get their products from iRacingIFlag.com. Go see their full product line. Butt Kicker, the ultimate feel from the race car, brought to your seat and attaches any center post to your chair and brings all the bumps and feels directly to your sim rig. And you're going to find their products at thebuttkicker.com. Team Watson Racing Setups, quality professional built setups for all asphalt racing. Find them at teamwatsonracing.com and check them out for their pricing and packages. And lastly, Roasted Gems Coffee. Coffee beans roasted just for you. Start your day the right way with roastedgems.com. All right, guys, I'm going to bring it to a close here. We're going to catch you Wednesday for the Season A finale for the Martin Sports Truck Series from the FTSR boys. Until then, stay safe and always get your nerd on.